TV13 sports presentation is brought to you by Chemical Bank, your West Michigan Dodge dealer. Fisher Nuts. What could be delicious than Fisher? Grand Valley State University. Peak Antifreeze. And by Bang & Oil.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Aaron Lubbers Stadium on the campus of Grand Valley State University this afternoon, live here from Allendale. TV13 it's homecoming game. Live from the Tom Cleary, my broadcast partner at TV13, along with former Detroit Lion and Grand Valley tight end Rob Rubick, will be providing the play-by-play and color commentary for you. We'll throw it up to them right now. Tom?
All right, thank you, Bob. Rob Rubick joining me in the broadcast booth today. Grand Valley has taken the opening kickoff here and ran it back to the 25-yard line, and there will be a step-off on the play. It looks like a personal foul, Rob Rubick, on the very first play of the ball game, and certainly there is some bad blood brewing here this afternoon between these two teams.
Well, that's how I understand it, Tom. It looks like right now Grand Valley's going to go into an attack-type offense. They're hurried up, they're on the ball, and they're ready to go.
This is the no-huddle look that Grand Valley featured last week in Northern Michigan. Jack Hull is the quarterback, and he's going back to throw on first down. He's got time. He throws out here, and it is through the hands of John Sanders at the 35-yard line. Rob, last year in this ball game in Big Rapids, Grand Valley came up with a dynamite play. They threw a weak side screen off play action. It went for the touchdown with Isaiah Lipsy. And this year, Tom Beck told us he may have had something like that up his sleeve once again. They went out for the big hit early on.
Tom's been an innovative coach ever since he's gotten here, Tom, and I think we're in for a great afternoon of football and some big surprises by the Valley.
Well, we're at it right away here. Two setbacks. Man in motion is Lipsy. Penalty flag is down. I think Ferris is offside. Here's a swing pass out to Michael Short. Now another penalty flag goes down. I think we're going to have possibly offsetting penalties here. We've got Ferris jumping perhaps before the snap, and then Michael Short, or I should say Sanders, the wideout, was involved in a play, and they're going to call a clip, I think, against Sanders, and it's going to be offsides against Ferris. So some razzle-dazzle there. The officiating crew, headed up by Tom Bolson, getting a workout. We've seen 3 flags and 3 plays early on, Rob.
Yeah, I think they're trying to take control of the game early here, Tom. It's so far, Grand Valley came out in their first play and showed a little quick flat screen to the split end. And I think Coach Beck's trying to loosen up the defense right now to open up the running game when he starts pounding Lynch inside.
Todd Kazan checks in. Sanders is going to come out of there. He's the guy that clipped on that play well after the play had gone past him. So that was a rather needless penalty, and I think that Sanders is hearing about that right now from Tom Beck. Movement again on the line of scrimmage, and let's see who the instigator was. Terry Jones from here in town at Grand Rapids Union jumped for Ferris, and I believe this one's going to go against the Bulldogs. So good discipline on that offensive line, which has been beset by injuries, Rob Rubick. 3 guys who would not necessarily be starting are in there today for Tom Beck and Grand Valley, and that's an indication of the great depth that the Lakers have.
Yeah, he may be missing the starters, but I was on the sideline before the game. The guys they have in there are some big old meat lockers, I'll tell you that right now.
So after the game's 4th penalty flag, and we've only gone about 30 seconds into this one, Grand Valley has it 2nd and 5 from their own 45-yard line. Ferris won the toss. They elected to defer. Grand Valley gets the ball, and here's Hull back to pass. A man wide open is Ted Munkin, and he's got the first down and more inside Ferris territory at the 39-yard line. This guy's a great story. Little Ted Munkin, who Tom Beck says pound for pound might be the best player, the best athlete on this team for Grand Valley. He's out of Illinois, and we'll talk a little bit about his pedigree as the game goes on, Rob.
He just ran a quick comeback on the sidelines against a 3-deep zone. The corner was playing soft. He just hooked it up, and Hull's pass was right there.
Hull is a very efficient quarterback. Last year, he would have led the nation in passing efficiency for Division II quarterbacks had he had enough attempts to qualify. And here is Isaiah Lipsy on first down on the long draw. He gets about 4 or 5 down inside the 35 to about the 33-yard line. Isaiah Lipsy, also a baseball player here at Grand Valley. In fact, a lot of people thought he would come to Grand Valley to play baseball. But before we call him the Bo Jackson of this Grand Valley team, Rob, we should point out that Robert Hunt is also an excellent baseball player. Hit over 400 last year in the Grand Rapids Super League. We'll see him today line up defensively, the former quarterback who's been converted to defense by Tom Beck. Movement all over the place. Grand Valley had some motion. Sanders, I think, went offside. This pass is going to be through the hands of the defensive back over there for Ferris State. The guy that almost picked that one off was Willie Jones out of Flint Southwestern. I think this penalty is going to go against Grand Valley. The initial indication, though, is offside against Ferris. Ferris jumped, and then Sanders came out of his three-point set, Rob.
Yeah, that's right, but the defense is allowed to get back, Tom. The man jumped, he got back. We had motion on the top side of the screen. And now we have offsetting penalties they're going to call.
Now, the first penalty was against Ferris, and then Sanders came up out of his stance when he saw the movement, so these will negate each other. It'll be 2nd and 5 for Grand Valley, which is quickly on the move here. We are only a minute and a half into this one in Allendale, and it's off to a razzle-dazzle start. Grand Valley again going with wideouts all over the place. Now Munkin's going to shift with Michael Short and Lipsy, who will go wing left this time. Also, Todd Gazund is in there. This is kind of the Detroit Lions run and shoot look a little bit, Rob.
Yeah, we have the 4 wideout look with a single back.
We'll probably see Lynch get it here with the 4 wideouts. They like to pitch to the man in motion. Let's see if they get it here. Here's Lynch on his first carry. He is straight ahead, close to first down yardage, inside the 30 to 29. And now another flag goes down. A little altercation down there involving, I believe, the offensive lineman for Grand Valley is 73, Mark Smith. And I think this one might be going against the Lakers. Let's wait and see. Grand Valley backing up a little bit. Another one of those little emotional boilovers that we've seen a couple of already, Rob.
You can't afford that type of play. You're in the first series, you're moving the ball down the field, you're controlling it, you get a personal foul, and it sets you back, and now you're looking at a 3rd and 18. So it's something that hurts a drive and it hurts a team, and Grand Valley's going to have to compose himself and start back and complete this 3rd down for a big play.
Well, Todd Gazund is going to come out. Sanders is back on. Grand Valley has big play capabilities, and they are a heavily penalized team, so what's happened here so far is really nothing new. Grand Valley has basically bludgeoned their opposition this year. They have played through miscues in the kicking game and also a lot of penalties. 2 wideouts to the left. Lipsy is a wing right. The split end right is Michael Short, and it looks as though Hall might be audibleizing at the line of scrimmage. He sends Lipsy in motion, dropped the snap, and Ferris has recovered the fumble at the 45-yard line. So there's the first turnover of the ball game. A bad connection between the center, Mike Sullivan, and the quarterback, Jack Hall. We'll take a break and come back with the Bulldogs' first opportunity on offense after this.
What could be delicious than Fisher? What could be delicious than those? What could be delicious than nuts from Fisher? There's nothing delicious, I know.
Can you name anything delicious than Fisher nuts? They're fresh picked, fresh packed, fresh roasted, fresh toasted. No wonder they taste fresh opened.
What could be delicious than Fisher? There's nothing delicious, I know.
You're...
And we're back to the action. 12:15 left in the first quarter. Tom Cleary along with former Grand Valley star and Detroit Lions tight end Rob Rubick. The first play from scrimmage for the Bulldogs. A short gain by the tailback Delbert Littlejohn for a couple, bringing up a 2nd and 8. Good field position, though, Rob, for Ferris here on their first drive.
Well, the turnover was costly for Grand Valley. Their defense is going to have to stiffen up right now and hold Ferris.
Ferris has some problems injury-wise. We'll talk about that. Their fullback, Eric Millette, not expected to go today. And that's going to put a strain on Littlejohn. Doug Arnold is the quarterback. He hands it off to the fullback, and there's that great Grand Valley interior defense. First guy to the ball that time for the Lakers was 53 Billy Smith, and that was Pilazinski, the ball carrier for the Bulldogs for a very short gain, bringing up about a 3rd and 5.
We had a down block by the right guard, and 53 just scraped off and filled the hole and stuffed the play for practically no gain.
Here's a look at the Lakers starting defensive line. Bland, Kramer, Brown, and Jancek. Bland, very impressive. He's got great wheels. We'll talk more about him through the ballgame, and we'll set the remainder of that defense for you momentarily. Here it is, 3rd and 5, Doug Arnold. Now Littlejohn comes out on a wing left. 1 remaining back, 1 wide out, a couple of tight ends. Grand Valley in their 4-3. Arnold's going to drop back to pass, not getting much pressure. The pass is complete over the middle for the first down. And the catch for Ferris, Pat Pettit, out of Westland, John Glenn, the sophomore wide receiver, takes it down to the 40-yard line, and that's the initial first down. Nice little pattern that time, Rob. He came in from the inside, just ducked under the coverage on a little short post pattern, and a good toss.
You're looking at a 2-deep zone with the safeties at the deep halves of the field. He just got a little bit behind the linebackers, came flat underneath, and the ball was delivered right on target.
Grand Valley with a change in the secondary today. Robert Hunt has gone over to strong safety. Hardy Farr, the freshman from Grand Rapids, is in there. And here's the pitch coming to Littlejohn. And he's got not very much at all. Quick closing defense over there to make the stop for Grand Valley that time. was 32, Robert Bell. And if Robert Bell does something special today, Rob, like perhaps a fumble recovery or an interception, we'll see the patented backflip in full pads. And that's something to see when you see him go head over heels after a good play. Charles Scipio, a linebacker, along with Smith and Bell. And it's a very talented secondary for Grand Valley. We'll talk about that as time develops. Almost 5 minutes gone in the first quarter. Grand Valley's first drive ended with a fumble. Here is Arnold on the option. Nice move. Got back into the open field, and he's going to be close to a first down as he knocks it down to about the 32-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd and short. Doug Arnold out of Rochester Adams, not really known as a runner. He's got a lively arm, though, Rob. But that time he made a good decision, let traffic clear, and made good yardage on the option.
And Mr. Arnold did a good job. There was some poor tackling inside, a little misdirection, and he kept his balance, kept his feet, and made a good gain out of it, and set up a 3rd and short.
Well, it's interesting. Doug Arnold and the tailback, Delbert Littlejohn, are both from Rochester Adams. There are a couple of other players on the roster for Ferris from Adams. And the backup quarterback for Ferris is also from Rochester, although he did not attend Adams. So here it is, 3rd and let's call it 2 for the Bulldogs. I formation behind Arnold. He's going to give it off inside, and getting the first down for Ferris is the tailback, Tyree Dye, who is from Jackson. He is a freshman, 6 feet 196. And moving up to make the tackle was Hardy Farr from the secondary, but the Bulldogs beginning to move a little bit here on this first drive, moving slowly but very surely, and no mistakes thus far for Keith Otterbine's ball club.
They're having a great drive.
Todd Wood, Flannery, Ken Marnin, and Hunt, but it's Hardy Farr in there right now for Marnin at safety. Here's the first down play coming up for the Bulldogs. A couple of setbacks in there behind Doug Arnold. He is going to hand it off, and a good hit made. Good penetration on the defensive line, and getting over there to make the stop for Grand Valley that time was Cleveland Moore, whose brother James played at Michigan State a couple of years ago. He is a freshman playing on the defensive line, Rob, for Grand Valley.
I was checking out Grand Valley's roster before the game, and they're a pretty senior-oriented team. With breaking in a few freshmen, a few sophomores will keep the success to go on for the next few years.
Millette listed as the starter. We were told that he would not see much action here today. He has been banged up a little bit. Arnold with a couple of wideouts here on 2nd and long. Let's see if Grand Valley comes with the blitz. Tom Beck likes to use the blitz early on to see if the quarterback can handle it. And here's the quick pass, and it is behind the intended receiver. That was Verd Van Sickle from Grand Blanc over there. The ball was thrown behind him, and that time they did get a little bit of pressure on Arnold.
They just cleared out with number 24, the flanker, just cleared out the zone. 7 came underneath it. The ball was just a little bit thrown behind him, and it was an incomplete pass.
So 3rd now and about 10 for the Bulldogs here on their opening drive. 8:18 remaining in the first quarter. College football action coming your way today on TV 13. I'm Tom Cleary along with Rob Rubick and Bob Trimble, who's in the stands. He'll be providing interviews for us as the afternoon goes on. Great doubleheader here on TV 13 today, coming up at 3:30. Michigan State and Michigan from Ann Arbor. Here's the 3rd down play for the Bulldogs, and Arnold, some movement on the line, no flags. Arnold dropping straight back. Has it out there, and he's got a man open. It's through the hands of Sparky McEwen at the 10-yard line. A ball that should have perhaps been caught on the coverage down there for Grand Valley was the defensive back Robert Hunt. But good throw that time. And now an opportunity for a field goal for Tony Saludo from Ferris.
Straight drop back throw in the corner. It was wide open, as you can see here. It goes off his hands. Just a poorly executed play. Should have been caught. Should have been a big play. Ferris could have had a first down inside the 20.
And now a timeout taken by Grand Valley as Tom Beck saw something that he didn't like over there. I wonder if they have enough players on the field. I'm counting them up right now. There's 11 out there. We'll take a short break and come back with this field goal try for Ferris after this.
Your Dodge dealer is now showing his most exciting new lineup ever. Featuring the redesigned Dodge Caravan.
I like the new shape.
The new Shadow America, the lowest priced American car.
Price is very important.
The new Dakota V8, available with more power for less money than a Ranger 4-liter V6.
I could tow a 24-foot boat with this.
See your Western Michigan Dodge dealer today.
A way to move information from one point to another is with Ameritech. Ameritech's Bell companies connect the Great Lakes region with advanced voice and data communications. Our cellular mobile service connects businesses on the move. We provide systems integration, directory publishing, voice messaging, and audio tech services. We move a world of information every day. Many information businesses united to one purpose: providing solutions that work. Ameritech.
And we are back at Allendale. 8:11 remaining in the first quarter. Ferris lining up for a field goal attempt. The Bulldogs in Grand Valley in a scoreless tie right now. Tony Saluto, the kicker, is on. The kicker is on. He's a very good kicker, and this is going to be a long attempt for him. It will be about 45, just a shade over 45 yards, maybe 46, as the Bulldogs attempt to break out in front here after their initial drive. The spot is down, the kick is up, it's got plenty on it, and it is good. So Tony Saluto puts Ferris on top with a 46-yard field goal. Not much doubt about that one, Rob.
That would have been good from 60, I think, Tom. He got a great leg into it. It was an excellent kick.
And with Ferris leading now 3-0, let's go down to Bob Trimble, who's talking with Bob Mitchell, the injured tight end from Grand Valley. Bob?
That's right, Tom. Bob Mitchell injured on the sidelines, hurt in the first game of the year. A turnover's costly here in the first quarter.
Yeah, we're emotions are running a little high like they did last year against Northern. We're coming out making a few too many mistakes. They got a field goal after, but we'll bounce back. We got a lot of character out there right now. Good leadership. We'll be back.
Tough for you to stand on the sidelines here. You were supposed to be such an integral part of this offense this year.
Yeah, it's real hard watching this offense, especially with no tight ends. But it gets easier game by game. But I'll be looking forward to next year coming back. But we're going to go a long ways this year. I'll be looking forward to watching a lot of games this year.
Okay, Bob, thank you. Tom, back up to you.
All right, thank you, Bob and Bob. And Rob Rubik, you were an outstanding tight end here at Grand Valley. Tom Beck says that this is their first pro prospected tight end since you left, and he's a good one, almost 6'5", about 2 1/4, and a guy that can really run up and down the field.
Yeah, I saw Bob play at Saginaw last year. He has a lot of tools. He has the physical size, and he has a lot of heart. I think he has a lot of potential, and hopefully he'll get a shot in the pros and go on and carry on the GVSU name in the NFL.
Well, Tony Saluto's fired up. He nailed that one into the end zone. Sanders caught it and downed it for a touchback. So Grand Valley will start at the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Bob Mitchell hurt his rotator cuff, kind of an odd injury for a tight end. And he had surgery a couple of weeks ago. He'll be back next year for his senior season. A junior out of Birmingham, Brother Rice.
More of a baseball type injuries. A lot of pitchers have trouble with their rotator cuffs. But,
yeah, they said he felt kind of funny on a tackle and strained himself in a rather unusual way, and they had a hard time diagnosing that injury at first.
Tight end shouldn't be making tackles.
Well, here's Grand Valley's second offensive drive. Hall is dropping back to pass. He's got time. They set up the screen. It goes to Lynch. He's got some blocks. He's got a first down, and he is all the way up to the 33-yard line, so there's a big gainer. Nice little wrinkle that time, Rob Rubik. The screen to the fullback, Eric Lynch, who is the touchdown machine here in Allendale.
Yeah, that was well executed also. They brought the tackle, and the offside back came out. Lynch waited for the people to get in front of him. The ball was caught. He turned it up the field, a couple good blocks, and turned into a good game.
Gain of 13 on the play. 1st and 10 for the Lakers here with 7.5 left in the opening quarter. No huddle once again. 4 wideouts. Lynch the only setback behind Jack Hall, who's looking things over. Some movement again on both sides. The fullback, I think, moved a little bit quickly, and somebody on the Ferris side. So it might be another case of offsetting penalties. We're seeing guys move, and I think we're seeing offensive players then react to the move on the defensive side of the ball, Rob.
Yeah, the defensive lineman for Ferris jumped offside, and Mr. Lynch went in motion a little bit early, so I'm not sure how they're going to sort this out and call it.
I think it's going to be a motion penalty going against Grand Valley right here, unless Ferris decides to decline the penalty, which is a very good likelihood. They lost some yards on the play. So the penalty will be declined, and Grand Valley finds itself again in a 2nd and long situation. Grand Valley, this is not out of character for them this year. They have averaged over 100 yards in penalties throughout the course of the season. Tom Beck is concerned about it, but he feels as though a lot of these penalties are penalties that are caused by the aggressive nature of his club, and he doesn't want to do too much, Rob, to discourage that. There's the Ferris defense. The key man in the middle, Terry Jones from Grand Rapids Union, 6'2", about 260. Here's Hall throwing it back to Lipsy. Lipsy wants to throw it, but he can't, and he is dropped for a loss. Check it, it's Jamarl Island on the halfback option play that time. Island was the man that was going to throw it. And you wonder, with all the gloves and all the taped hands and everything else, Rob, how a guy could even think about throwing a ball under those conditions, but that's what Tom Beck wanted to do.
Well, the play wasn't disguised very well. I think from the get-go, Ferris could read that Mr. Island was looking to pass the ball. We have Ferris's defense here. Terry Jones at tackle, Ed Fullion at nose guard, and Steve Houghton at tackle.
3-man front right now with a couple of wideouts. Grand Valley with 3rd and $1 billion. Here's the linebackers. Wooden. Talercio is a co-captain. And some movement again by Ferris. Penalty flags all over the place. Might be a free play for the Lakers. It's a completion, and it's caught by Short, who's all the way up near a first down. I think, Rob, he may have given away the first down.
It looks like he had it before he circled back trying to pick up extra yards. It may have cost him.
And Tom Beck is not happy about that because Short had the catch and the first down. It's offsides against Ferris, so either way, Grand Valley's going to get another play here. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Tom Beck decides to go, take the gain, and then on 4th down and 1, try to take it up the gut with Eric Lynch. You know, last week at Northern Michigan, Grand Valley had a very interesting situation. Going into a strong win in the first quarter, Rob, they had 4th down and long from their own 11-yard line. They figured they wouldn't be able to punt the ball anywhere, so they went for it. Actually, it was 4th and short from the 11. In the first quarter of a ball game, they went for it, and when you think about it, it was probably pretty sound reasoning. He figured that a punt wouldn't do any good at all, so why not try for it? And either way, you're going to give up the ball to a similar spot on the field.
That's pretty unique. I'm not sure I agree with it, but I'm not sure too many people would even think of doing that.
Exactly.
So Coach Beck has just shows how innovative he is in his coaching philosophy.
Well, this is kind of unusual. Grand Valley is going to take the gain. They're going to bring some people in. I thought they might have the punt team on, but I think they're going to go for it. They're going to get that jumbo lineup in there right now. Let's see if he brings Sean Mealy and Tony Malinowski in. I believe that's a possibility right here. 4th and 1, big play here for Grand Valley. With 6:59 left in the first quarter, Ferris leads it on a 46-yard Tony Saluto field goal, 3-0. Ferris looks a little unset. Full house backfield. Up the middle it goes to Lynch, and Lynch has got the first down. He's up near the 45. So after all that deliberation, all the moves back and forth, it was a pretty basic play, Rob, that time. The fullback off the left side behind the blocks of Strell over there, and also Mark Smith, the left offensive tackle.
Yeah, between Sullivan and McGorry, they got a real good push up front and got about 1.5 yards. It was more than enough, and it continues the drive.
Well, Grand Valley missing some people on the offensive line today. Sam Palatini is not dressed. He's a senior co-captain. He's had a lot of injury problems the last couple of years. And Chris Teedy, the starter at center, the junior, probably will not see a lot of action. He was listed as possible. He can play, but Tom Beck doesn't want to make a change at that crucial center position unless Teedy's able to go the whole game. Here's the handoff on 1st down. Cracking up over the right side is Isaiah Lipsy, 6 feet, 199. He's out of Southfield. A two-sport athlete here at Grand Valley, and he's got a short gain of about 2.5 up to about the 47. As Grand Valley now slowly starting to get into the groove a little bit offensively.
They're starting to get a better interior line push, and I think Coach Beck came out throwing the ball early and tried to establish the passing game and open up and spread out the defense a little bit. But now he's going back to his bread and butter, which is pounding it and playing wham inside with his 2 big backs.
I formation this time, a rather conventional look here for the Lakers. Still 3 wideouts though. Jack Hall looking down the line of scrimmage. He's going to go back on play action. He's got a man open. Here's the pass, and it's complete at the 35-yard line. A penalty flag down for a late hit. The reception was good to Joe Stone, the wide receiver out of Dearborn. The freshman made the catch, and it looks as though they're going to tack on about 15 more to this one, Rob.
I think as you see this, Tom, there's no doubt this is going to be a personal foul. Mr. Hull goes back. He throws it, a Stone going out of bounds. He catches it. He's well out of bounds, and there's the late hit.
Not much of a late hit, but when the man put himself down catching the ball, really there was no reason for the Ferris defender to make any sort of a move at all. So it's a big gain for Grand Valley, augmented by a big penalty against the Bulldogs. That'll take it all the way down inside the 20-yard line to the 19. So a great opportunity here for the Lakers.
What killed the first drive of the game just helped him, a penalty. It slowed him down in the first drive, and this time it adds 15 yards to a big play and gives him about a 30-yard gain. Sets him up inside the 20.
Nice catch that time by Joe Stone, freshman wide receiver from Dearborn Divine Child. Movement again on the defensive line. Hull's going back. He's got people open. He fires it over here, and it's going to be caught by Teddy Munkin out of bounds inside the 10 at the 9. The tackle made by Ferris, and the guy that got over there that made the stop on him was Brent Weiss, who was a freshman defensive back from Williamston. But there's that great innovation on the passing offense. Couple guys open that time, Rob.
Yeah, you're seeing Ferris is running a 3-deep zone right now, and the corners are playing just a little bit too soft, and they're running about a 10, 12 yards out, and the ball was delivered right on time. And if you can execute the out as Grand Valley's doing right now, it's very difficult to cover.
Well, Ted Munkin, a wide receiver, a junior out of Wheaton, Illinois North. He went to high school with Kent Graham, who was considered by many to be the nation's top high school quarterback a couple of years ago. Kent Graham went to Notre Dame and played behind Tony Rice for a while there, and then transferred. He's now a backup quarterback to Greg Fry at Ohio State. But Ted Munkin has been used to playing in a situation where he's going to see some balls thrown his way. He's got another good quarterback this year in Jack Hall, who, by the way, is also from Illinois. Jack out of Addison, Illinois. It is a first down for Grand Valley, 1st and goal from just inside the 9. So Grand Valley now with their first real good scoring opportunity here of the afternoon, trailing 3-0. Power I formation in the backfield. Bruner is in there right now, along with Lynch and Lipsy. Hall is checking off at the line of scrimmage. And he took too long that time, and he's going to get a delay. And Tom Beck is not happy with his quarterback, and he wants him to run the play that was called down there. You can't really take the chance in scoring territory to give up 5 like that, Rob.
Well, that's atypical for Grand Valley due to the fact that I heard within the last 40 times they were inside the 10-yard line, they had 39 touchdowns.
Yeah, last year they had an incredible touchdown conversion ratio. I think only once all year did they get inside the 10 and not score a touchdown. Now in the pro ranks, just to give you an indication of what that stat means, they usually judge whether or not you score at all once you get inside the 10.
Field goal or touchdown counts as a score, and still you're looking at about a 70 to 80% conversion. Grand Valley's up around 95% for touchdowns.
Let's see if Grand Valley runs the same play. They're going to give it off to Lynch inside. He's got some room. He's going to score. What a play that time by the quarterback. Jack Hall, who ran into Lynch, still managed to get the ball in there safely. And maybe that little hesitation on that collision, Rob, led to the touchdown.
Well, it wasn't much a collision. They're running the veer left, and you ride the fullback with the bellies. We'll see here. He's riding Lynch. He tried to pull it out, but Lynch didn't want to give it back. He makes a quick cut to the right. He slides. He turns on a little speed, and he's happy to get into the zone. And that was a well-executed play. It's a give read where the quarterback has the option to pull it out or to give it, and I think they both had different ideas what they want to do with it, but the outcome was successful.
Here's Miguel Segarro on for the extra point. It's blocked, and that one can be run back. Let's see if Ferris is able to pick it up. They're not able to, and the kicking problems continue to plague Grand Valley. They missed the extra point, but lead 6-3. We're back with more football after this.
Take a big step to a brighter future at the Grand Rapids campus of Grand Valley State University. We put quality higher education within easy reach. Earning your professional or graduate degree is more convenient and affordable. Classes match the needs of adults who work full-time. The faculty, the programs, and the facility are unsurpassed. We'll help with the planning, so call or drop in soon. Grand Valley State University's Eberhard Center on the Grand Rapids campus.
What makes Chemical Bank a great bank? Home equity loans without points, application fees, appraisal charges, or title insurance premiums. Let a Chemical Bank loan officer show you how to use the equity in your house to reduce your cost of borrowing.
We're here to help you at Chemical Bank.
You're everything that a great bank should be. That's what I like about Chemical Bank. I like Chemical Bank helping me.
It is 6-3. Grand Valley leads Ferris State after that opening touchdown of the afternoon for the Lakers. 13th consecutive game, Rob Rubik, in which Eric Lynch has gone into the end zone. A rather amazing statistic for this young man from Woodhaven.
That's very amazing. I played about 13 years. I don't think I had that many touchdowns. And he has 13 consecutive games.
Now the Grand Valley people are now looking into the NCAA statistical record data to find out what chance Eric Lynch has of becoming the all-time leading scorer in Division II football. And I think somebody found out earlier this week that Walter Payton had around 65 touchdowns during his career at Jackson State. But at the rate Eric Lynch is going, he still has plenty of time to eclipse that record.
Eric is a junior, correct?
That's right.
Well, he's well on his way to have an opportunity to make an effort at it.
And here's the kick by Segarro. It's high and short, coming down at the 20-yard line. Ferris is faking a reverse. Now they give it off on the reverse, but the man that wasn't fooled over there was the defensive back for Grand Valley, a guy who is going to be in on a lot of plays today. Todd Wood made the tackle, the man who ended up with the ball for Ferris. I believe, I was going to say it was Doug Arnold, but it might have been Scott Ladishkin who had it instead. But Wood makes the stop. We'll go down right now to Bob Trimble.
It's here at Grand Valley State, and what they do every game is they have a coach, a guest coach. And Carl, tell us about the day.
Okay, it's a great day. We get to spend the whole day with the team. We have breakfast with them at 9 o'clock first. Then we go into the team meetings and split for offense and defense, go down for taping. We're out on the field at the pregame warm-up. We go into the locker room. We go back into the locker room at halftime and after the game. So it's really a great day for my family and myself. We've been out here now. This is our 6th year. It's a lot of fun for us.
So did you help Coach Beck call the play for the Lynch touchdown?
Oh, yeah, you bet. That was my call.
Okay, Tom, back to you.
Bob, let's correct something we said earlier. We had credited the field goal and the subsequent kickoff to Tony Saluto, the kicker for Ferris, and now we believe it was Mike Panasek, the freshman 29, who actually kicked it. Nice play here for Ferris. Reception up over the 35-yard line. The man that caught that ball was Terry Pilazinski, the fullback, and that's a nice look there. They got the fullback out into the play for the first down, Rob.
Yeah, they just swung him out quick into the flat. Once again, they did it earlier, but the pass was thrown behind him. This time it was completed for a nice game and a saving tackle almost. The safety had kind of slipped, and if he wouldn't have got him by the ankles there, it might have been a big play.
So it's 6-3 Grand Valley, 4:25 remaining. The Bulldogs opened the scoring on that field goal by Panasek, and then Grand Valley came back with a touchdown run by Lynch. And a penalty flag goes down after a nice first down run there. Delbert Littlejohn carried it up to the 45-yard line, but I have a feeling this one's coming back, and it looks as though it's going to be a hold against the Bulldogs.
I'm not going to try to guess who got the holding penalty because I never like to be accused of one. I had enough that I did. I don't want to try to point the finger at anybody down there right now.
Well, the guilty shall remain nameless, at least on this particular occasion. There we see the sidelines, the Grand Valley coaching staff talking things over. Now the official's going to chat a little bit right now with the Grand Valley defensive captain.
That's the best part of college football, Tom. They don't point the finger at you. Let everybody in the stadium know who was holding, who was the culprit.
That's right. When you get to the NFL, you found out that the public has a thirst for information, and the offenders were pointed out in front of the national television viewing audience. It is a hold going against Ferris. They will march it all the way back 15, and now it's first down, and it's going to be 1st and 25 here for the Bulldogs. Arnold's going back to pass. Bland with some pressure. They throw it off in the middle. That hit a lineman in the back. And then a flag goes down. I'm not sure what this one's all about. I thought perhaps it might be a receiver downfield, but then again, it might be a late hit against Duffield, who laid a shot on the lineman there, who was closest to that ball.
I think they're going to call it illegal forward pass because it hits the lineman in the back. He's not downfield, but he's not allowed to touch the ball unless it was tipped first. As you can see, it hits him in the back of the legs.
And he had really nothing to do with that whatsoever. He was just trying to get out of the way. I believe the lineman in this case, which we can probably identify, was Steve Hubbard. And it wasn't really Steve's fault. He was just there. Arnold just made a poor throw and it hit him. And this is going to be another penalty against Ferris, and the Bulldogs on consecutive plays digging themselves quite a grave, Rob.
I believe, yeah, that was an illegal forward pass, Tom, and it's a loss of down.
So it's a very costly penalty against the Bulldogs here. The ball at the 19-yard line. They have to get all the way out to their own 44 for the first down.
You make the call here, Tom.
I don't think the book is big enough for this play. You're going to have to get it in 2 plays, probably. Arnold going back, rolling left. He's got some time. He's got a man open here, and it is out of bounds, almost intercepted. And the man that got over there that time, it was Mike Flannery out of Dearborn, the defensive back, who almost pulled that one in. I thought maybe they might flag Robert Hunt, who gave the receiver a little bit of a shot as he went by. A little bit downfield, but the officials didn't see it. And so it goes as a long incompletion.
I was keeping my eye on Mr. Flannery that time. The ball, he was in good position. The ball was overthrown. He had his hands on. He just couldn't hang on to it.
Talk a little bit more about Mike Flannery and his background after this play. 3rd and a mile here for the Bulldogs, trailing 6-3 with 3:50 left here in the opening quarter. One setback behind the quarterback, Doug Arnold. He's not getting much pressure. He throws it down the middle, and it is complete. He fumbled the football, though, and it's going to be picked up by Grand Valley. Now they're going to say incomplete, and I'm not sure about that one. I thought that was a catch and a fumble.
I have to look at this. I hope we have this one on replay because he definitely caught the ball, took about 2 steps. They're thrown against a 2-deep zone where the safeties are split, but the safety read it quick. He came up, delivered a good blow, as you'll see here. I got to see this one for myself.
Brian Travis was the guy that caught it. I thought he took a couple of steps, but now he was to the other side. Looked like a catch to me, but Grand Valley's going to get the ball back nonetheless.
Well, let's see our reverse angle replay here, Tom.
Well, the referee had a good look at it. He was on the open side, so we'll have to give him the benefit of the doubt. This is going to be a short kick. Hunt's going to let it go, and it's going to bounce inside the 40-yard line to about the 38. So pretty good punt that time. And we'll take a break and come back with more action from Allendale after this.
Amoco provides you with the finest lubricants for the smoothest operation of your equipment. Amoco offers over 400 specialized lubricants to help keep your heavy equipment and OTR rigs running stronger, longer. Amoco oils and greases also help minimize your lubricant costs without compromising quality. At Van Manen Oil, we have bulk storage and warehousing facilities, allowing us to provide the Amoco products you need when you need them throughout your market area. For the Amoco jobber serving your area, call Van Manen Oil today.
Announcing the new 1991 Plymouth Sundance America. At just $76.99, it's the lowest priced American car and the lowest priced car in the world with an airbag. Sundance is a sporty 5-seater that comes with a lot of great features like power steering and power brakes. Plus, it has plenty of cargo space and gets great mileage. Now that's value that's hard to beat, and that's Advantage Plymouth.
See Highland Chrysler Plymouth today.
Now on the first play for Grand Valley, a big gain, a 17-yard gain for the Lakers in the pass to Lynch. And now an injured man down for Ferris as the ball came to rest at the 45-yard line. I'm not sure who it is yet. We'll take our time in identifying the down player for Ferris. But Grand Valley got it back and they wasted no time. And Grand Valley is capable of biting off some very large chunks of yardage. The Lakers on top right now by the score of 6-3. And I think somebody got their bell rung down there, Rob. We see some movement in the hands and arms, and I think the injured player for Ferris is going to be Mike Heck, the linebacker, who's going to come out of there.
He seems to be hobbling a little bit. Looks like he may have twisted his knee. Let's hope it's just a slight sprain. He'll be back later in the afternoon.
Mike Heck lives in Traverse City now. He went to Dearborn Divine Child in the Detroit area. And let's see who they get in there to replace him. Possibly we might see Pat McGrath in there, linebacker for Ferris. Grand Valley, though, has a first down. The Lakers on the move again, leading 6-3 here in the first half at Lubbers Stadium. That big offensive line starting to assert itself now, Rob, for Grand Valley.
Yeah, when you're playing against guys that are about 270 across the front, they start to take their toll on you after a while. They physically wear you down.
Joe Stone is on at split end here for Grand Valley in this series. Hull's going to give it off on the inside handoff to Lipsy. Lipsy's inside the 40. Nice spin move for the first down all the way down to the 32-yard line. Ike Lipsy, the ball carrier, and making the stop. Well downfield was Terry Jones, and also getting in on it for Ferris State University, Willie Jones, the defensive back. Rather unusual when you see a defensive tackle and a safety making the tackle well downfield, Rob.
That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign at all when your safety has to start making the plays. They just ran a little counter trap that the Redskins made famous. You pull your offside guard, offside tackle, tailback steps counter, comes back. There was a wide hole. He hit it with speed and turned it into a good game.
More bad news for Ferris. Their outstanding defensive player, Monty Brown, has gone out of the game. He's had a leg problem this week. Another player for Ferris is injured well up the field at about the 50. Monty Brown, the defensive newcomer of the year last year in the Great Lakes Conference, a young man who's very talented out of Bridgeport, 6 feet, 212 pounds. He just came out. He was listed as questionable for this game. And talking with Keith Otterbein during the week, he wasn't at all sure Monty would be able to answer the bell. And also, it's worth pointing out that Ferris had the offensive newcomer of the year last year in Doug Arnold. So it's an indication that Keith Otterbein getting good people into his program up in Big Rapids.
Oh, he definitely has his program on the rise right now. I can tell by the intensity, the talent I'm seeing out here, and the size of some of these young kids that he's doing a fine job. His recruiting is picking up, and I think he's only going to help solidify and strengthen the conference, the new conference that was just formed this year.
Well, Bob Trimble is on the sidelines right now. Let's go down and check with him. Bob?
Tom, I'm with Amy Otterbein, the coach, the wife of Coach Keith Otterbein for Ferris State. And Amy, these kind of games are emotional, certainly for the players and the schools. How are they for the wives the week of a big rival game like this?
Well, my stomach is in knots right now.
How was the trip down?
Just fine, no problem.
Now, does Keith act any differently this week than any other week during the football season, or is it all pretty much the same?
He's just never home, so we don't really talk that much.
So from late summer until early fall, or I should say late fall, you don't see much?
Not too much, no.
Your team going to come back now?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, 6-3, the Lakers lead. Tom, back to you.
Well, it's worth noting, Rob, Keith Otterbein, a head coach for 5 years. He's only 33 years old. Talk about a rapid ascent in the coaching business.
It's a nice way to get up there quick.
He was an outstanding player at Hillsdale, coach for Ferris as an assistant for a couple of years. A man wide open, and it is caught. It's going to go for a score, but a penalty flag is down. The catch was made by Todd Gazan, and it's going to be coming back, I believe, a hold against Grand Valley. The two linemen down there talking about it right now with the official. The guys that were discussing it were Doug Strell and also Bill McGorry. But it was a great raid by the quarterback that time. As we take a look at the replay, Hull looked to a couple of different people. He saw Gazan break late. It was easy pickings, Rob.
It was a fine play by Gazan and Hull because the play really had broken down. Gazan had run his pattern. He saw that Hull was starting to scramble. He broke it off deep, and the ball was delivered. It's just unfortunate the holding penalty was called, but they'll have to overcome that and start with the 1st and 20.
Rob and I were talking before the game about the art of holding in college and professional football, and he indicated to me that only on the rarest of occasions did he ever think about holding in the National Football League.
I said not hold. It's only on rare occasions did I not hold. There's a difference.
In fact, Rob told me only on days ending in Y did he consider doing that. Here's the draw play to Lynch up the middle. He's got plenty of acreage. Breaks back to the outside, and he is going to be down inside the 30. Huge gain that time. Lynch going for about 15 yards on that first down play. He is down just shy of the 28. So after looking at a 1st and long, Grand Valley now in a much more comfortable position. 2nd, and it looks as though it'll be about 6 down to the 22. And here he is, the touchdown machine. Eric Lynch played at Woodhaven for Jim Butson down there. And he's just a guy that Tom Beck will gush about, Rob.
Oh, not only does he impress you with his strength, but does he set up blocks? That time he makes his offensive linemen much better, too. He sets them up, he fakes in, fakes out, gives them a chance to get under their blocks, and does a great job.
He can move a little bit side to side, too, which you don't see a lot with fullbacks. Hull going back to pass. He's got a man open long. He gets hit. He dropped it. He picked it up, and now he gets back to the 32, which will represent a loss of about 4 on the play. I thought that the man breaking free was open for just a second. Joe Stone going deep into the end zone. For some reason, Hull couldn't pull the trigger. Maybe he saw something back there that we didn't, but Stone was the guy that he wanted to get too long, and it didn't happen. He dropped it. Jack Hull did, picked it back up, and takes a loss of about 4 on the play.
Well, they were trying to stretch a defense there. They sent Sanders deep down the sideline, short into the middle, and then they were flooding Lynch out into the flat. Ferris did a pretty good job covering the short. I think Hull wanted to go drop it to Lynch right away. It wasn't there. He looked deep, but that time there was pressure and caused the fumble.
Okay, 2 wideouts left this time. I formation behind Jack Hull. Let's see if Ferris can affect some pressure. They can't. Hull's got time to throw it out there, and is it caught? It is, I believe, for the 1st down by Teddy Munkin at the 20-yard line. A beautiful play that time by the possession receiver, Ted Munkin, and you can't do it much better than that, Rob.
Great catch by the little fella here. The ball was a little bit underthrown by Mr. Hull, but he came back, got his hands underneath the throw, pulled it up, as we can see here. The ball will be a little bit short. Munkin goes down, secures the catch. Great job by our camera.
Great replay that time, you bet. Let's give a nod to the technicians on that one. A 1st down catch for Munkin just outside the 20-yard line. And if you don't get pressure on the quarterback on that play, that little out, it's basically indefensible, Rob.
Yeah, especially the way Mr. Hull can throw the ball with great accuracy.
Option left to Lipsy. Lipsy is upended there. A great tackle made for Ferris. The guy that got him was Willie Jones, who got an arm out. Willie might have knocked himself a little bit silly there. He's holding the hand a little bit, but he did all he could do. He came in early, broke the contain, and just basically stopped that play himself.
Yeah, Todd Kazan just didn't quite stand his block long enough. He slid off, and he was able to trip Lipsy up for a short gain. It's a hard block for a wide receiver. It takes quite a while to develop, but it's just pretty much an effort block. You just have to stay up and stay on as long as you can.
I think Tom Beck wanted to take advantage of the fact that Willie Jones is not all that big, 5'8", 170, but he forced the play that time and got it done. No gain on the play, and now the quarter will end with Grand Valley leading 6-3, and we'll take a break and come back with more football from Allendale after this.
Most good things don't come easy, but here's a great one that does. Maximum protection. Think about it. Then don't stop short of the peak.
Don't stop short of the peak. No, don't stop short of the peak.
The Big and Tall Shop at Rogers Department Store really has it all. Quality name brands and selections that are truly overwhelming.
Rogers Big and Tall Shop has everything you need. Quality name brands in those hard-to-find sizes. There's just no other Big and Tall Shop anywhere in Michigan quite like it. If you're bigger or taller than the average guy, Rogers Big and Tall Shop is the place to be.
Name brand after name brand after name brand. Only from the big and tall shop at Rogers Department Store.
Dave Randall here to tell you this is the last day to take advantage of the West Michigan Cable Install Challenge. Call your local cable company by 5 today for a money-saving $5 installation. Now, you'll be watching cable TV by 9 tonight, or installation is free, and that's guaranteed. Add HBO and get Cinemax free through November. With HBO and Cinemax, you'll see great movies and specials like Black Rain and HBO Comedy with Joe Piscopo. But don't wait. This offer is over at 5 today. Call your local cable company for big savings during the West Michigan Cable Install Challenge.
Second quarter action about to commence here in Allendale. Tom Cleary along with Rob Rubick and Bob Trimble down on the sidelines. We'll be checking in with Bob again soon. The ball just inside the 20, second down and about 9 for the Lakers, who lead Ferris by the score of 6-3. It was a Panasek field goal early on for Ferris, followed by an Eric Lynch touchdown run. Grand Valley on the move once again. Jack Hall, the quarterback. Man in motion is John Sanders. Hall going back. He's got a little bit of pressure in his face. He throws it incomplete to Lipsy, but a nice job done defensively that time for Ferris by Monty Brown, the linebacker, who's back in there. That's a good sign for Keith Otterbein to get the big guy back in there. That time they came with a little bit of a blitz, and they got some pressure on Jack Hall.
Well, they run the fake option when they bring Lipsy behind in motion. It's kind of a slow developing play, and that time the defensive line didn't bite on the run fake. They kept the upfield pass rush, put pressure on, and Hall just had to dump the ball as quick as he could.
So third down and 9, couple of wideouts, Munkin and Gazun going right. Joe Stone into the ball game. He is the flanker left. Lipsy in the slot left. Hall's got time to throw. He's setting up the screen. It's wide open to Bruner. Bruner is inside the 10, inside the 5, down to the 2-yard line. Steve Bruner gets the pitch from Jack Hall. And great patience that time by Grand Valley in allowing that play to develop. Here's Hall dropping back, and it's just a little dink out there. They guess they sucked everybody in looking at the 4 wideouts that time, Rob, and they just dumped it to the fullback.
Yeah, they run a little screen in the flat to Bruner. A couple good blocks by the offensive line. Smith was outside. He turns it up, turns it to 2-yard line, breaks one tackle, turns into a big play. Now they have 1st and goal on the 2, trying to punch it in.
Monty Brown made the stop for Ferris, and Lynch is back into the ball game, and this one shouldn't be too hard to predict right here. Full house set in the backfield. Lynch has got it, and Lynch is into the end zone for the score.
That young man has got some great leg strength. He literally carried number 36 for Ferris into the end zone.
I'm not sure, but I think you could take his statistics and put him in the NCAA Division II basketball numbers, Rob, and he might not be, he'd be one of the leading scorers in that regard. This is a guy who's scoring on average at double figures every game. It's another touchdown for Eric Lynch, his second of the afternoon, and I think Grand Valley now, after missing the first PAT, will try for 2 here.
Grand Valley will attempt the 2-point.
I got to believe you have a good chance to see Mr. Lynch get the call here again.
2 tight ends in right now, converted line people. It looks as though it's going to be a run. Penalty flag down. Wide open in the end zone is one of those big guys, and it's caught beautifully for the conversion. Now let's sort out the penalty flag. It was behind the Ferris State line. The guy that caught it was Jamarl Island for the deuce. And this is going to be a penalty against Ferris, which is not going to affect the 2-point conversion try. So Island's catch makes it 14-3, and Grand Valley now out to an 11-point lead.
Ferris was caught with too many men on the field, I believe, Tom. And
so 14-3 Grand Valley. Let's check in again with Bob Trimble.
Well, I'm up here in the Grand Valley section, obviously, with the bleacher creatures. Danny, what do you think so far? This is a great game. It's a homecoming against Ferris. We beat them last year. We can do it again. Kristen, I noticed that you had keys waving when it was a key play. Is that what that's for?
Tell your guy to...
Guys, who's going to win? Obviously partisan on this side. Okay. Back to you, Tom.
All right. Thank you, Bob Trimble. It is 14-3 Grand Valley leading Ferris State, and that penalty will be stepped off after the conversion try, and Grand Valley now will kick it from midfield. Let's see if Tom Beck's got one up his sleeve here and maybe tries an onside kick, or what he might do, Rob, is just kind of dink it into a dead area and try to have his players run down under it.
Yeah, a lot of times you see him, they'll just try to pop the kick up over the first wave and hopefully put one of your speedy receivers on the outside to get down and get the ball before the defense can get it, or he just may be content to have him kick it through the end zone too.
Please all rise for the kickoff by number 9,
Miguel Segarro will kick it off. from the left hash mark, and I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but Ferris looks mighty worried about the possibilities. Miguel's going to hit this one straight on. He's going to kick it to dead away, and this one will be into the end zone, taken there and down by Lou Melcurry, the running back from the Sioux in Ontario, up in Rob Rubik's old haunts that way north of the bridge.
One of my Canadian friends from across the border.
I didn't realize those guys play football, Rob, but we'll talk more about that after this break and more football in Allendale.
Grand Valley State University's main campus is on the banks of the Grand River in Allendale, just west of Grand Rapids and not far from the Lake Michigan shore. Grand Valley State is Michigan's fastest growing university. It serves nearly 12,000 students with 75 degree programs and a faculty committed to helping students learn for all they're worth, preparing them for success both in earning a living and making a life. That's why so many of our alumni say Grand Valley State brings out the best.
What makes Chemical Bank a great bank? Home equity loans without points, application fees, appraisal charges, or title insurance premiums. Let a Chemical Bank loan officer show you how to use the equity in your house to reduce your cost of borrowing.
We're here to help you at Chemical Bank.
You're everything that a great bank should be. That's what I like about Chemical Bank. I like Chemical Bank helping me.
We're back once again in Allendale. Tom Cleary along with Rob Rubik and Bob Trimble for the broadcast of today's game between the Lakers of Grand Valley, 6-0 in the season, and the Ferris State Bulldogs, who come in with a record today of 3-2-1. Grand Valley has scored again on a touchdown run by Eric Lynch. He has 2 for the day, and Ferris trying to get back in here. Doug Arnold, the quarterback. Delbert Littlejohn, his tailback, the only remaining back, and a miscommunication there between center and quarterback, and Arnold just got tattooed. The man that got through very quickly to make the hit for Grand Valley was Cleveland Moore, a redshirt freshman out of Lansing Sexton, and that's not the way that Keith Otterbein wanted to start this drive, Rob.
No, I think Ted Polinsky, the center, snapped the ball a little bit before this quarterback was ready. And when the quarterback wasn't ready, he's standing there, and all of a sudden he's got both the linebacker and the nose man right in his face, and it was a broken play, and it was costly. It's the beginning of a drive, and it's just kind of set you back right away.
2 wideouts, Van Sickle wide left and Sparky McEwen to the short side of the field. Arnold's going back. He's got a man open there, the fullback Pilazinski, and it's a gain to about the 25-yard line. They've done that a couple of times today, thrown to the fullback, and Terry Pilazinski has managed to turn the corner. That time he couldn't maintain his balance, but they hit with that one a couple of times so far, Rob, and that's been a successful play for Ferris.
Yeah, they're just faking Polinsky into the line, rolling Arnold out to the same side. He just floods into the flat. He dumps in the ball, and every time it's a more 7-8 yard game. It's probably been their most successful play today, Tom.
So that brings up a 3rd and 5, a gain of about 10 on the play that time, up to the 25-yard line. Littlejohn behind Doug Arnold, trying to pull Grand Valley offside with a long count, drops straight back, has a little bit of time, throws over the middle, complete for the first down. The gain up to the 37-yard line, and the guy that latched onto that one for Ferris, I believe, was Littlejohn, the tailback coming out of the backfield, and it's a nice pickup. Doug Arnold with the little pitch and catch to Delbert Littlejohn for the first down for Ferris. So a nice recovery by the Bulldogs after being penalized in first down. They come back with a couple of plays that net them about 17 yards, and they've got a first down and 10 from their own 37.
This is a crucial drive for Ferris. They can't afford to give the ball back to Grand Valley, have them take it in and make it a 21-3 game.
Littlejohn's going to carry it on first down. Nice pickup off the left side, moving smartly behind the blocks of Don Sherrod and Tom Landry for the Bulldogs. And it's a pickup of about 5 on the play. 2nd and 5. Charles Scipio, the linebacker, made the stop. You know, the Grand Valley people talk about the Spanish connection with Miguel Seguro, their kicker being from Spain, Rob, but they don't mention that they've got another portion of that combination playing on the defensive side of the ball. Charles Scipio, born to a military family, he too, like Miguel Seguro, was born in Spain.
Both seem to be an integral part of this Grand Valley team this year.
Scipio has been a great force defensively, averaging about 10 tackles a game. Everybody up tight now for Grand Valley. On the little fade pattern, they throw it out here to Van Sickle. Flannery had the man-to-man coverage. Arnold had to let that one go in a hurry, and that might have been a check-off of some sort, but Verd Van Sickle couldn't catch up to it. Mike Flannery on the coverage from Dearborn. And it's probably not too hard for Mike to find some work in the summer when he goes home to Dearborn. There are a lot of good players in Michigan from Dearborn who specialize in the passing game. Dan Enos, the quarterback from Michigan State, and also Mike Iquinella, the defensive back. Also Dearborn prep stars who are down there at the same time as Mike Flannery. So those guys know each other well. They all went to different high schools, incidentally. Here's the play coming up for Ferris. Arnold getting some heat from the backside, throws it out here at the feet of Littlejohn. Incomplete on that third down play. Probably would have been able to make the first down had he been able to catch that football.
This was the same play they had run the previous second or third down to the other side. They'd rolled Arnold out to the left and hit the little flat pass. This time they rolled him out to the right, tried to hit Littlejohn in the flat, but it was thrown a little bit behind him and low and is incomplete and brings up a fourth down.
Robert Hunt is back to take the kick as Ferris is forced to punt for the second time. This is Panasuk with the kick. It's a pretty good kick. Hunt coming down is going to call for a fair catch at the 25-yard line. He takes it there with the kick team man Todd Evans looking on. And Robert Hunt's fair catch gives Grand Valley a 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. The Lakers leading 14-3 here with about 11:45 remaining in the second quarter at Lubbers Stadium.
Now, am I mistaken? It wasn't Robert Hunt a quarterback last year, Tom?
Robert Hunt played about half the season last year, where he actually played the whole season last year as the backup quarterback. They moved him this year to the defensive secondary, quite frankly, because Tom Beck felt he was just one of the best athletes on the team, and he didn't feel it was fair to keep him behind Hull, who had been a very steady player. Now, interestingly enough, Tom Beck says that if something is to happen to Jack Hull here before the end of the season, they would consider very strongly putting Hunt back at quarterback, although if Hunt were to be hurt today, they would probably go with Brian Tazik, who is the backup. It's not likely that Hunt could see action today or would see action as the quarterback in the event of an injury. But if there were to be anything that would happen to Jack Hull during the course of the season, probably the next week Hunt would go back to the offensive side of the ball.
Sounds like you have a great athlete, and Coach Beck wants to get him on the field one way or another. With Hull's success at quarterback, it would be a shame to have Mr. Hunt sit behind him.
Well, they've done that with a couple of other people this year. John Sanders 2 years ago, Rob, was the leading ball carrier for Grand Valley. He was ineligible academically last year. Isaiah Lipsy comes on, makes all conference, and then they put Sanders at flanker. Hall has got plenty of time, throws it on a scramble to Munkin. What a play. And Munkin will not go down. Finally, out of bounds at the 40-yard line. And Jack Hull did about 4 great things on that play. He made a good read the first time not to throw the ball. Then he got out of a little bit of a jam in the middle of the field. Then he looked back up when he was about to get tackled and delivered a strike to Ted Munkin, who's made some big catches today. Let's take a look at the replay.
You can see here he sets up. He looks for his first receiver. He gets a little bit of pressure. He starts to roll out, slips a tackle here. It looks like he's going to run it right before he gets to the line of scrimmage. He pulls back, finds Munkin, delivers the ball, and Munkin running like Eric Lynch there.
Boy, great play by Munkin. Great play by Hull, who had to throw that one off his back foot to elude the pressure. Big game for Grand Valley, and the Lakers are on the move again. Here is Hull in the deep handoff to Ike Lipsy. Lipsy's going to duck it inside for a couple, down inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line. You know, Keith Otterbein told me earlier this week, Rob, that he really fears Grand Valley's ability to score in a hurry. He says it's like a tidal wave. They start rolling up chunks of 15 and 20 at a time. He said he's never seen a team that has as many long scoring drives that take 4 or 5 plays as Grand Valley.
Well, you look at the offensive weapons they have between Lynch and Lipsy, and they have Munkin outside and Short. And they just have so many great skilled players, and when you have Hull as your trigger, there's just so many positive things that can happen on each play.
2 wideouts right. Joe Stone into the game. He's a flanker left. They're going to give it off inside. Here is Lynch running for the first down, and great leg kick. And boy, he got those knees up high going through the middle there, and that's a great indicator, Rob, of just what kind of back this young guy is.
A la Roger Craig there with a great knee lift. He has tremendous balance and strength. He has a lot of great attributes that, you know, great running backs have. And I think Mr. Lynch may have a career after Grand Valley. You never know if he maybe has to put on a little bit of weight to play fullback in the NFL. But as far as the running ability and instinct, I believe he has what it takes.
Let's give some credit to the offensive line of Grand Valley. Rob and I were down on the field before the game, and Rob only comes back here occasionally, and he said he couldn't believe how big these guys have gotten during the last several years. Here's Hull going back, has a lot of time, gets some pressure now, and he's going to throw it incomplete, threw it late down the middle, which is a no-no for quarterbacks, but he had a man open, couldn't find his receiver, Todd Gazan, and it falls incomplete at about the 15-yard line.
Gazan was running a drag route from the right side, coming just over the top of the linebackers. He saw Hull in trouble. He tried hooking it up. Hull had somebody had him by the legs, and he just tried throwing it. It was almost a poor play by Mr. Hall if it would have been intercepted. But as it goes, it wasn't a bad play. Gets rid of the ball, avoids the sack.
Now Lipsy comes out. Joe Stone comes out. Jamaro Island is in there right now. He'll be in a slot to the left. Sanders is back on. He's in the slot right. The wideouts, Gisund and Munkin. And here goes Hull back to throw. He's got time. He delivers, and it's almost intercepted into the hands of the Ferris defensive man there, Aaron Horn, the linebacker. And a great break for Grand Valley that time. And you can't throw late down the middle at any level of football.
Definitely ill-advised pass by Mr. Hull. He drops back in the pocket. He's thrown right into the coverage. It goes between the linebacker. Matter of fact, he gets his hands on it, and I think his own teammate knocks it out of his hand. It was a very fortunate play for Grand Valley.
Well, Grand Valley's kicking game has suffered here a little bit of late. They do have the wind with them here for the second quarter, so a field goal attempt by Cigarro is not out of the question if this play does not produce the necessary yardage for a first down. But I think Tom Beck feels as though he's probably in four-down territory right here.
I was thinking maybe watch the screen. Oh, could be a holding call. Yeah.
The flags come late. I think Hull had Munkin down the right sideline open, but Ferris, no doubt, I think, will take this penalty and push Grand Valley back toward the midfield.
Well, I think a lot depends on how much confidence or how strong they think Cigarro's leg is. Because right now, if they decline the penalty, he's looking at a 45-yard field goal.
Cigarro has kicked for distance throughout his career as a high school player in Grand Rapids at Catholic Central and also here at Grand Valley, but he's got a calcium deposit on his foot right now, Rob, which has been a problem. Holding against Grand Valley declined, and I think we're going to see Cigarro out here. We may see a trick play. Cigarro also does some punting, and Grand Valley may be reaching into its bag of tricks right now. Let's see. It might be a field goal attempted. It'd be about 45 yards for Miguel Cigarro, who is from Spain, played 1 year of football. And talk about a guy that needs to hit the weights a little bit. At 144, he's not going to bowl anybody over. But he's got the wind behind him, so this one should be within his range. The snap is good. The hold is good. The kick, I don't think, is going to get there. It falls into the end zone, so Cigarro, perhaps showing the ill effects of that injury that he has had to live with this year, misfires from 45, and Grand Valley's lead stays at 11. We'll take a break and come back with more from Lover Stadium right after this.
What could be delicious than Fisher? What could be delicious than those? What could be delicious than nuts from Fisher? There's nothing delicious I know.
Can you name anything delicious than Fisher nuts? They're fresh picked, fresh packed, fresh roasted, fresh toasted. No wonder they taste fresh opened.
What could be delicious than Fisher? There's nothing delicious I know.
Jim Blanchard's at it again, distorting John Engler's record. Fact is, no governor in Michigan history raised your taxes higher than Jim Blanchard. When Blanchard raised your income tax by 38%, John Engler was there to force him to roll it back. When Blanchard wanted to raise the sales tax by $400 million, John Engler was on your side to say no. And John Engler will be there to do what Blanchard hasn't done in 8 years. Cut your property taxes.
All right, we're back once again in Allendale. I'm Tom Cleary with you today on TV 13, along with Rob Rubik, former Grand Valley star and Detroit Lions tight end, and Bob Trimble, as we get a message coming across the field, the secret society of Grand Valley. Were you a member of that, Rob, when you were here? They say go Lakers.
It's a secret, Tom.
You can tell me if you were in, at least. I'm not asking for the handshake or anything like that. But a lot of secret society people here today. All right, Ferris with the football, trying to punch one into the end zone here before the end of the half. Doug Arnold is going to hand it off to a new tailback who's back there. Tyree Dye has replaced Littlejohn, and he got nowhere.
Grand Valley's getting great penetration by their front four right now. It strings the play out and lets their linebackers scrape off and make the play for, I believe, even a slight, about a half-yard loss, Tom.
Mark Bland made the stop that time, Rob. He is a 6-foot senior. 225 pounds is Bland. And a guy that the Ferris coaching staff spoke very highly of this week when I talked with them. He is out of Detroit, Cody. And here are the numbers so far. Grand Valley with all sorts of offense, and rather unfortunate, you might say, not to have more points. Or perhaps we should say it's more fortunate for Ferris that Grand Valley doesn't have more points. Bob Trimble on the sidelines right now after that second down carry. Let's go down to him. Bob?
Tom, I'm with Dave Wenham, the former assistant coach here at Grand Valley for Tom Beck, now the strength and conditioning coach for the Detroit Red Wings. What'd you do, zip over here this morning?
Well, yeah, I shot out early this morning. Couldn't miss a homecoming at Grand Valley if I could help it.
Hey, Red Wings looking pretty good. 2 straight at home?
Yeah, we've had 2 big wins. The big guys playing well, and, you know, I think everybody's starting to set their feet firmly on Coach Murray's ship.
Okay, Dave, hang on a second. We'll go to this play. Tom?
All right, Bob, here's the 3rd down play. It's a reverse. Sparky McEwen's got a man wide open. Van Sickle, can he get it there? He does. And a little razzle-dazzle as the converted quarterback, Sparky McEwen, delivers to Verd Van Sickle. A huge gain on that play from the 29 all the way across midfield to about the 35-yard line of Grand Valley. So a pickup on the play of about 36 yards. And a well-conceived play. Here is Sparky, who played quarterback last year much of the season, then gave way to Arnold. He, too, has been moved into a position where they can use him. The coverage not all that bad back there, Rob. They were fooled a little bit originally, but they got back to get after it.
Right, a no-no for any strong safety is to take any steps up when you see a pitch. You got to wait to secure your deep half first before you come up on the run. And he just bit up a little bit and got behind him.
Hardy Farr victimized on that play, the freshman. Here is the handoff to Tyree Dye, and he is wrapped up after a gain of about a yard. Let's go back to Bob Trimble right now with Dave Wenham.
Dave, you primarily coached defense here with Coach Beck. That was a rare play where Ferris got that many yards today. How have you felt they've been playing so far?
Well, I think that Ferris, you know, there's no love lost with the Grand Valley team, and they're going to do well. They practice too, but I think that you'll see that Grand Valley will shut them down pretty well as the game goes on.
Okay, Tom.
All right, Bob, Bart Duffield comes out at linebacker, returning for Grand Valley, Robert Bell. Grand Valley really has some strength at linebacker this year. 4 very good seniors. It is 2nd down and 9 for the Bulldogs. Doug Arnold running the attack here from the Grand Valley 34. Arnold, quick drop, throws it to Littlejohn, who's got a yard or 2, but not much more than that. And good coverage by the secondary. Wood coming up very quickly along with Flannery. And those defensive backs close very quickly that time, Rob.
It's real difficult to run a quick out against a cover 2. They're playing a cover 2 with has 2 deep, and the 5 men underneath are all playing man-to-man. And when the guy just runs a 5-yard out, there should be somebody right in his face, which there is, and even the other receiver didn't clear out, and his defender was able to come off and help in on the play.
So big play here for Ferris. 3rd down, and let's call it about 5.5 yards for the first down. I formation in the backfield behind Doug Arnold. 2 receivers both to the right side. And Arnold's going to give it off to Littlejohn. A collision in the backfield, and then another collision when Robert Bell arrives on the scene. And that's kind of similar to what we saw earlier on the Grand Valley touchdown. The quarterback runs into the running back, and then Robert Bell got there just moments later.
Yeah, it's a shame right now for Ferris. They have a good drive going, and a miscue like that. That's not the first time they've had a miscue between Arnold and Littlejohn. And you think with 2 people who've been back to that long, they have a little better feel for each other. But it helps Grand Valley. We're going to see a long 48-yard field goal, but the 46-yarder he made earlier had plenty of distance.
Grand Valley's only got 10 men on the field right now. Here's the attempt, and this one is going to be wide left. So Panasek, who hit earlier from 46, misfires this time from about 47, and Grand Valley not only gets it back, but they'll have it back in pretty good position here with 5:42 left in the first half.
That's the old adage, Grand Valley's defense here is bending but not breaking. They give a few yards through, between the 30s. When it gets inside the 30, they start to stiffen. Allows our offense to come on, and we have 5 minutes and a half. See if Grand Valley can put together a 5-minute drive for a touchdown there.
Here comes Grand Valley again with no huddle. Munkin is the flanker to the right. In the slot right is Sanders, and wide to the left is Stone. They're going to hand it off to Lipsy. Good penetration that time by Ferris to muck that play up. The Bulldogs got in there very quickly and made things difficult for Isaiah Lipsy. And it's a short gain on the play, maybe a yard.
Tackle on the play by number 40, Bob Telfer.
Telfer made the stop for Ferris State.
2nd and 9.
And the guy that made the play was Steve Houghton, who broke through very quickly, the nose guard, a sophomore out of Paw Paw, Michigan. So the ball at the 32-yard line. 2nd and 9 for the Lakers with about 5:10. And the clock running here in quarter number 2. Grand Valley leading at 14-3. College football today on TV 13. Man in motion is Lipsy. And they're going to hand it off to Lynch up the middle. Lynch just keeps that leg drive going, and he's got about 6 or so. He is up to close to the 38-yard line, which will leave the Lakers about 3 yards shy of the first down. Talercio, one of the defensive captains, making the stop for Ferris.
I think Mr. Lynch picked up the last 3 yards about 6 inches off the ground that time. He has such a great center of gravity, and he was so low to the ground, but he has good balance, and he was able to get about 3 more yards after it looked like he was going to be down.
Gino Talercio with the hit. He is a senior, 3-time letterman from Troy. Went to Auburn Hills, Avondale, down there in Piston Country. And here's Lynch running, I believe, for the first down. Going to be very close. Depends on the spot. The yardage marker just a little bit beyond the 41-yard line, and that's right where Lynch is at. It's going to be a measurement, and it's pretty much a coin flip right here. It looks to me, Rob, like it's very close, but I think he's going to have it.
I'll let you call this one, Tom. It's too close to call.
I mean, it's inches either way, but I think he's going to have the first down. At any rate, I think Grand Valley will go for it if he doesn't have it.
First down, Grand Valley.
Well, there it is. Just a couple of inches. We should point out that our vantage point here at the stadium press box is right about on the 40-yard line, so we're looking right down the barrel at that one. And Lynch picks up the first down for Grand Valley, which now moves from the 41-yard line here, moving with the wind, but there's very little of it. Lynch now unofficially 8 carries, 59 yards. And this guy's per carry average is just eye-popping for a fullback, Rob. Nobody else among the top carriers in the conference even close to him in that regard. Hall looking for the quick shot over the middle. He's got his man, Sanders, and Sanders is all the way down to the 32-yard line. So Sanders with a big pickup on the play, 27 yards from Hall to Sanders. And here he is, a guy that was a running back, Rob, a couple of years ago, playing wide out this year.
Well, Hall just hits a little quick hitter. Sanders gets into the seam, straight up the field, makes one miss, makes a nice catch, makes the guy miss, makes another little cut. Was able to pick up about 10, 12 yards after the catch, and that's very important for your wide receivers to have some running ability once they catch the ball.
John Sanders out of Grand Rapids Union. This is a guy that will probably go back to playing tailback next year. Grand Valley has one senior starter, Isaiah Lipsy, and they've got a guy waiting in the wings to fill in. They've got a couple people that can play that position this year as well, including Island. And here is Lynch on the draw, the only setback. Beautiful moves inside. A late flag goes in there, and I think they're going to get Sanders this time for maybe a grab on Monty Brown, the linebacker coming up. But Sanders, I should say Lynch that time, showing the great footwork again, Rob.
I don't know if this is a typical game for Grand Valley, but they sure seem to get flagged a lot. I don't know if Coach Beck says it was aggressiveness. I don't know if holding is aggressiveness or if it's just a little bit lacking technique. But they really starting to hurt them in some of their good drives, Tom. They go 40, 50 yards, and they get a holding penalty and sets them first down and 20.
Well, the feeling among people who have watched Grand Valley play the last couple of years is that this year's Grand Valley team physically is as good as last year's team, maybe even better when you consider the defense. But this team this season might be a little bit more susceptible because of the penalties and because of the mistakes they have. They're a team that if they were to lose a ball game, I don't think anybody would be shocked because of they are prone to errors. Last year's team was very efficient. This year's team less so. But Grand Valley right now tied with Ashland, and that'll be a great one here next week. Grand Valley and the co-leader in the conference, Ashland, playing here in Allendale next Saturday. Hall with time, delivers it to Munkin. Munkin's got it. He's down to about the 30, so they get back a lot of that yardage on that first down catch. It's good for about 11 yards down to the 31-yard line.
It was a good call. Once again, they run about the 10 to 12-yard out with Munkin. It's a safe play. Hall delivers it on time. It's set you down now on a 2nd and 8. You dig yourself out of the hole that you put yourself in. Now they can still run the ball or throw the ball.
And Tim Lito, the defensive back from Delton, not too far from here, a junior, making the stop that time on Teddy Munkin, who's had a big first half for Grand Valley. So now it's 2nd down and 8. Ball at the 30. Grand Valley in I formation, still 3 wideouts and no tight end. And it looks like a blitz package coming here for Hall. Hall fires it. He gets it off to Lynch. Lynch makes a move back, and he's down to the 25. Give the quarterback high marks for that delivery, Rob.
I thought he was just throwing it away, Tom. What unbelievable play by Jack Hall. He's getting pressure. He turns. He does a complete 360. Throws it right in stride to Lynch. As you can see here, he drops back. This is I wonder if Coach Beck puts this twist in this week, the little 360 spin before throwing the screen pass. And Eric does a good job picking up about 5-6 extra yards by himself.
25-yard line of the Bulldogs.
Boy, that hurts for Ferris. I mean, they play that as absolutely well as they possibly can, and it's still a gain on the play of about 5 yards for the Lakers. Grand Valley trying to milk the clock a little bit. 2:24 remaining in the first half, so time is really not a factor on this drive. Hall trying to straighten things out. Sanders unsure as to where he should be on this one. movement all over the place. Grand Valley was definitely in motion. Hall and the option's going to carry it for a gain that would give him the first down, but this one's coming back. The left side move there, and there was confusion from the outset. Mark Smith, I think, is the guy that jumped originally, Rob, for Grand Valley.
Yeah, I think Jack Hall might have been even checking off at the line, and Mr. Smith got a little antsy in his stance, and I saw him lean forward a little bit. I think he's going to be nailed for a 5-yard penalty, which is a break for Ferris because Jack Hall had picked up the first down on the option.
Grand Valley has really hurt itself today with penalties. Somebody came up to the booth here and said there were 15 penalties in the first quarter of this game alone. Now 15 for both teams during the course of a game wouldn't be all that bad, but in one quarter we have seen a lot of flags, and a lot of those flags have just simply come from sloppy play.
Well, coaches like to try to limit your penalties to maybe 5 or 4 in an entire game, and that 15 called in the first quarter is just, it's way too many, and I think the pace has been about just as quick here in the second too.
Ferris better get somebody over here on Sanders. Now they're going to go with the quick hitter that time to Gazund, and that ball is knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Terry Jones got a hand on it. They had 2 wideouts to the left side, to the wide side of the field there, and now on 4th down, I think Grand Valley will probably go for it this time since Cigaro came up short on his last field goal try. 4th and 8. Tom Beck will get the play in from the sideline. Stone is on right now, and going out of there, one of those big people on the line of scrimmage.
4th down and 8.
Kirk Showers, the tight end who's been used sparingly, is going to come out. Gazund is going to come out. Ike Lipsy is back on. Grand Valley might need to get a timeout here to get this one off. They're going to have to hurry. Lipsy was late getting on the field. So let's set it for you. Sanders and Munkin come wide to the left, and the top of the field is Stone. I formation. Hall's going back. He's going to have plenty of time to throw this one. He's got a man open, complete. Sanders has got the first down inside the 20. And boy, was Joe Stone open on the post pattern from the other side of the field. I saw him just run right past everybody, but it was a good toss to Sanders by Jack Hall, and it's a very efficient play that picks up the first down.
I don't think the play, well, it is. It's designed to be a throwback. He rolls to the left. He's looking to throw back to his left, right. Nice catch. Turns it up the field. Mr. Sanders gets it inside the 20. I don't know if John Sanders is a tailback, but he does a pretty good job as a flanker.
That's right, and he was covered that time by Monty Brown, who's a fine linebacker, but there's no way in the world in the open field Monty Brown is going to hang with John Sanders, who is, incidentally, the fastest player in this Grand Valley team. On the deep handoff, Lipsy's going to run to open space. He turns the corner, and he'll go in. Oh, great play for the touchdown. Isaiah Lipsy goes in from 17 yards out. And Grand Valley on the verge of busting this one open. That one went against the grain a little bit, Rob, and it just opened up on the right side.
That was a la John Bond of University of Michigan against Notre Dame. All your offensive linemen lock up one way to the left. He's just a little cut back against the flow. Turns on a little speed. Beautiful run by Mr. Lipsy there. And he's in for the touchdown. Ike. They call him Ike, is that?
Ike is the nickname, and they like Ike here at Grand Valley. The guy that was victimized, Tim Guthrie, the defensive back, just couldn't close. He stayed at home long enough, but Lipsy just had a lot of momentum. Cigaro somehow gets it through. Wow, let's give it assist to Robert Hunt there.
Robert Hunt does an excellent job. It's a low snap. He picks it up. I thought he was ready to make the fire call, which would mean he'd roll out with the ball and both your ends on the line would run in the end zone and try to complete a pass, but he stayed with it. He got it up. The kick was good.
Give credit to Cigaro also. A lot of times the reflex action for a kicker is to wait till they set the ball, but he just went through. It's do or die for the kicker. He can't really stop and try to readjust in the middle of his swing. He has to go for it. Cigaro did just that. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. And Grand Valley, with 76 seconds left in the first half, takes the lead of 21-3 after that 17-yard touchdown run by the senior Isaiah Lipsy.
This is my first time seeing Grand Valley play this year, and I'm just really impressed with not only the way they can control the ball with their big line and their good backs, but the talent of their skilled people, your wide receivers, your flanker. Jack Hall is a very accurate passer. They seem to really have a total package to throw offensively. And defensively, they're just, they bend a little bit in the middle of the field, but when it comes down to 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, they make the big play.
Well, Rob, I know that when you played here a number of years ago, you would have liked to have had these kind of people alongside of you on the offensive line. Smith, Strell, Sullivan, McGorry, Luzak going 287, 257, 240, 275, and 268.
I was 228, and I was the second biggest guy in our line. Our guards were 205 and 210.
So they have really upgraded here in that regard at Grand Valley. Cigaro with the kick. This one is going to be taken at about the 17. The man with the football for Ferris is Todd Evans. Wow, what a hit there. And Grand Valley coming out with a little bit of fire. One of the people that got down there in a hurry for Grand Valley was Faoud Zeban.
I'm glad you had that one.
He was a man who got down there quickly. He's a backup running back, and they use him occasionally. He has carried the ball during his career here in Allendale. And he's got one of the most unusual nicknames I've ever heard of. I talked to the sports information people this week, and they said you can call him Faoud the first time, but he likes to go by his nickname of Walker. Well, you figure it out, folks. I couldn't. Doug Arnold trying in vain to get something going. He checked his wrist there, not for the time, folks, but rather for a play. I'm sure he's got some things that are etched on his wristband. He's going to have to hurry to get this one off.
I think he's checking off.
He throws it out here, and it's going to be complete. And the man that got over there to make the catch was Frank Katsopoulos, a freshman from Sterling Heights, the wide receiver, making the catch there for a gain of about 5 with 1:06 left in the first half.
I think Doug Arnold just saw the soft corner start to play off a little bit. He checked off to a quick out for a 6-yard gain, got out of bounds, stops the clock. Still have 1:06 to go in the half to get a touchdown or a field goal.
Grand Valley will play soft here for the remainder of the half. They're going to give McEwen some room. He is the faster of the two wide receivers. Verd Van Sickle to the top of the field. Sparky running across the middle. This one is caught by Van Sickle. Beautiful catch that time. Hardy Farr had that one measured. I think he thought he was going to intercept the ball, but Van Sickle made the catch right in midfield, and that's a big pickup for the Ferris State Bulldogs.
They're just getting into the soft part of the zone in the middle of the field right now against Grand Valley. And Grand Valley is a defensive unit, and a prevent type defense is told to keep the ball in front of you. Your safeties are told to keep the ball in front. And if you execute well, you can move the ball against prevent. A lot of people have a gripe. I hear people all the time talk about the Lions when they go into their prevent defense towards the end of the game. Minnesota moved the ball right down the field on them. But it's they figure with the time and the clock and so forth that it's better to keep the ball in front of you and not let them get the big play.
You know, I've always wondered about the prevent defense myself, Rob. In a situation like this, shouldn't it be enough just to know that the other team is going to throw the football? I mean, you can be ready for it. You can almost blow off the run, but why give them 10 or 15 at a crack in that situation? Why don't you just play the pass a little bit tougher and maybe double up on both sides on the wideouts?
Well, because when you start playing up tough, and if they run like a little out and up on you, that's the thing. That's the whole, it's kind of a catch-22 with the prevent. You know they're going to throw it, but you don't want to play too tight. But when you play off a little bit, they start getting the 10, 15-yard passes, and that's why they moved on you. You're coached not to let the big play. And it kind of puts in the back of your mind, I don't want to get beat deep. I'll give them a little more cushion, and they start moving the ball on you.
Dave Underwood is into the ball game now, replacing Van Sickle. McEwen is the flanker to the right. Littlejohn goes into the slot left, and Arnold's going to give it off to the big man coming out of the backfield. That's the fullback carrying it. Tyree Dye lining up behind Doug Arnold. And now Ferris will attempt to go without a huddle. A pickup of about 5 on the play to the 45-yard line. 45 seconds remaining. And now the Lakers starting to back off a little bit. Hunt and Farr, the two safeties, are a good 13 to 14 yards up the field. Arnold going back, not getting a lot of pressure, has time, throws it into an open spot. The closest man to that ball was Hardy Farr, but actually a guy that had a little bit of space out there was Delbert Littlejohn, who had come free, but the ball was a little bit overthrown.
Yeah, I think Robert Hunt was even closer to that one. He had opportunity to get an interception. The ball was overthrown a little bit. There was some pressure coming in from the interior line. I think it was Jim Kramer, one of the fine stand-out defensive linemen for Grand Valley, who was right in Arnold's face and forced him to throw it a little bit quicker than he would like to.
So now it's 3rd down and 5. And you don't want to do anything silly here if you're Ferris. Doug Arnold wants to make sure he gets the ball up the field, because if he doesn't pick up the first down, Ferris is going to have to kick it away, I believe.
Possibly a draw or a screen here.
Arnold throws it over the middle. Nice play. Intercepted on the tip, but they're going to call interference against Grand Valley from the far side of the play. I don't know, Rob. I'd like to see the replay. It looked to me like a good simultaneous hit made by the defensive back, but I think this one's going to go against the Lakers.
I think it was that Charles Scipio. Here's the replay. Arnold throws the ball. I think he hit him a little bit quick. He was going for the ball. It's really difficult to tell from that view. That's Robert Hunt.
Boy, I don't know.
Came in a little bit quick. It was a tough call. From up here at first, I really did think it was interference, Tom. I thought he came through a little bit quick. He was going for the ball, but he impeded the receiver from his catch, and at least it was only about a 5-yard flag, which they're still out on a 42-yard line. We need another first down to get in field goal range.
Well, the guy that made the bid for the interception was Mike Flannery, who was playing deep in the zone that time, but Ferris with new life here. 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line. 26 seconds remaining. And some of the folks here at Lover Stadium get assembled for the homecoming duties. Here's a hit on the quarterback, Arnold. Great play made that time by the defensive tackle, John Jancic. But a penalty flag down. And let's wait and see what this one's about. This might be another penalty against Grand Valley.
Could be defensive holding out on the corner. I think the receiver got jammed a little bit and the corner didn't let go quick enough, and I think he may have got flagged for defensive holding.
Boy, I thought they could have called the hold on Ferris there offensively as well, as the offensive lineman got tangled up that time with Jancic. The guy that was playing him at defensive tackle was Paul Cochran out of Midland Bullock Creek. So now they're going to turn back the down marker, it would appear here. And quite often what we see in college football, Rob, is that penalties are assessed from a particular point of where the play ended and not so much where the play originated from.
Yeah, they use the place of infraction much more in college and mark it off. Now this time it was I think it's just a 5-yard penalty for defensive holding, but I think it has a automatic first down comes along with it, Tom.
So really the net loss here is really
holding the call against Grand Valley.
Going to be for, it's going to be a long mark off. It's going to be 15 yards from the spot, I guess.
Shows you
where the play ended. Well, this is kind of hard to figure out. I thought they marked that off from where the quarterback went down, but now the ball is at the 32-yard line. It is 1st and 10 with 20 seconds remaining, and Grand Valley is threatening to go into the Guinness Book of Records for first half penalties. And amazingly enough, they're still up here by a couple of scores at 21-3. The official's still talking this one over right now as we get a look at the Grand Valley defense. That's Charles Sipiel, 6'1", 223, a senior linebacker. And I think finally now they have gotten this one all sorted out.
I think Ferris State's looking to maybe about 5-10 more yards to get in field goal range from Mike Panasak, who showed a great leg on the 47. He missed. He tried the 48 and he overkicked it a little bit, and I think that's why he pulled it. I should say on the 46-yarder that he made early in the game, and then on the 48-yarder he just overkicked a little bit and pulled the ball.
All right, 2 wideouts to the right this time. Into the ball game now for Ferris is Pat Pettit. Van Sickle is a wideout here. Arnold is going to roll right. Jancic got a little bit of pressure. Van Sickle, though, makes the catch and eludes the tackle of Flannery. Flannery thought he had him measured, but Van Sickle ducked inside. This is going to be a first down. The clock is stopped with 14 seconds remaining on the first down, and Ferris with its most serious scoring drive of the game.
I think Ferris only has 1 timeout left, so they may just try to kill the clock here. Clock is running. They better hurry up.
The clock stopped as they move the chains, but it's running again. Arnold looking here for Van Sickle, who's tied up with a defensive man. And this is a penalty that's going to go against Grand Valley again. I don't quite understand that one, but Todd Wood was locked up with Van Sickle from the get-go on that one. So this is going to be another penalty against Grand Valley.
Well, Todd Wood was still jamming Van Sickle when the ball was thrown over his head. But I think we also have motion on Ferris at the top of the screen, maybe offsetting penalties.
Well, this one has been a maze of confusion here today. You're right, Rob. It's going to be procedure against Ferris, holding against Grand Valley. The clock is down to 3 ticks remaining. So now Ferris has 1 shot to get into the end zone. Let's see if Otterbein opts to go for the score, if he's going to try to put 3 up. Might not be a bad idea to get the 3.
I think I see Panasak into the game.
29, Mike Panasak.
Okay, Panasak is on now. Van Sickle will hold this one at the 23, a 33-yard attempt. And this is well within the range of Panasak, who connected earlier from 46 and then missed one slightly longer. The snap is down, the kick is up, and the kick is good. So on the last play of the first half, Grand Valley leads Ferris State 21-6. Eric Lynch has a couple of touchdowns. Isaiah Lipsy has also run for 1. And for Ferris State, 2 Panasak field goals providing their scoring. In just a moment, we'll be going down to Bob Trimble, who will attempt to get a word here with Tom Beck, the head coach at Grand Valley, who's a little bit concerned right now with all the mistakes, obviously, that his team has been making. The Lakers have been physically dominant, Rob, but they have not mentally been fully engaged throughout the first half here.
His team has been plagued by penalties entire half, and maybe some of them unwarranted, but needless to say, they have to cut them out and limit their penalties because they've been stopping their drives and they've been helping Ferris keep their drives alive. I think physically, as you said, Grand Valley looks to be the dominant team right now. They've been able to move the ball on the ground, throw it in the air, and they've had no problem going up and down the field. They just seem to break down at key times.
Bob Trimble standing by with Tom Beck right now. Bob?
Tom, a little unsettling for you, I'm sure. Penalties have been a problem throughout the year. In this last drive, Ferris, I'm sure you weren't expecting to let them get a field goal.
Absolutely not. Penalties are hurting us, and I think by and large the officials are calling a good game. It's a real emotional game, and there was a lot of yapping out there on their side, and we just got to maintain our poise. That's all.
On the first series, you guys fumbled, and that was the only mistake offensively. I wondered if, with the no-huddle offense, if that might have been a little unsettling for your guys to start with, because you went back to the regular huddle.
Well, we do both, and we tended to start out with no huddle and then go some huddle, some no huddle during the course of the game, and we'll see how the flow goes.
Look for more of the same second half?
We're going to play harder.
Okay, Tom, thank you very much. Tom Beck, head coach for Grand Valley. Grand Valley at halftime leading 21-6, and Tom, when we come back, we'll be talking with the respective athletic directors for Grand Valley and for Ferris.
Most good things don't come easy, but here's a great one that does. Maximum protection. Think about it. Then don't stop short of the peak.
Don't stop short of the peak. No, don't stop short of the peak.
Our property taxes. They've risen 47% under Jim Blanchard. But not to worry. Jim Blanchard has a plan to cut property taxes by a nickel a week. Thanks, Jim. A whole nickel every week. If we save up our Jim Blanchard nickels for a whole year, we get enough money to buy a great hot dog.
$2.25.
Want a lot more nickels? Vote for John Engler. He'll cut your property taxes 20%.
Dodge's most exciting high-performance cars are now at your Dodge dealer. Featuring the new Shadow Convertible. Lower priced than any American convertible.
It's just so sporty looking.
The powerful new Spirit RT.
The turbo engine is great.
The new Stealth RT Turbo. The most advanced production sports car on the road.
The twin turbos, those really grab me.
Welcome home, America.
See your Western Michigan Dodge dealer today.
Smoother operations require the best lubricants. Amoco Industrial Lubricants, researched, developed, and refined by the long-standing leader, Amoco. Amoco's lubricants help keep your equipment running smoothly and minimize lubricant costs without compromising quality or productivity. At Van Manen Oil, we have bulk storage and warehousing facilities, allowing us to provide the Amoco products you need when you need them throughout your market area. For the Amoco jobber serving your area, call Van Manen Oil today.
This special TV 13 sports presentation is brought to you by Chemical Bank, your West Michigan Dodge dealers. Fisher Nuts. What could be delicious than Fisher? Grand Valley State University. Peak Antifreeze. And by Van Manen Oil.
And welcome back to Allendale. 21-6 our halftime scores. The Lakers lead Grand Valley State's Ferris Bulldogs, or the Ferris State Bulldogs, I should say. And with me is the Ferris State Athletic Director, Dean Davenport. 10 years, Dean, you've been the AD up at Ferris. You've seen a lot of this rivalry.
This is a great rivalry. In fact, this game today is a real tribute to Michigan football. I know there's a big crowd downstate, but this is a great crowd and a nice tribute to Grand Rapids, and I would thank you guys for putting this on, and certainly Mike's done a great job in getting this game ready for you here.
I've got to believe that certainly football and basketball are the big revenue sports at most colleges, but you also have a hockey team that's going to be playing tonight.
Yes, we opened the season, if you could believe it, last night. Western Michigan came into our place, and we pulled our goalie and tied it in the last seconds and ended up with a 5-5 tie, and tonight we go down there to their place, and so it's a new coach, Bob Mancini, and a great way to start the season, and it's just a great day for us. We'll be on Pass TV. This is the game of the week in the CCHA, and then to have you folks host us here is just wonderful.
I talked to Keith Otterbine's wife, Amy, during the course of the game, and I asked her if Keith acts any differently for this particular game because of the rivalry, and she says basically she doesn't see him from the end of summer till the end of fall anyway. How is it for you and the school, do you think?
Well, it's a great rivalry. You've hit it right on the head. This is what we're all about in Division II. It's a healthy rivalry. It's not just football, certainly. Our cross-country team was down here yesterday and ran with the Lakers. Our volleyball team has a great rivalry with Joan Bond and her volleyball people. And, of course, basketball, which we like to talk about because we won the conference 5 years in a row. But it's just a real fine rivalry, and it's a great college, Grand Valley and Ferris. Being so close, of course, is a natural.
And Dr. Kowalczyk, the athletic director at Grand Valley, has just been in the league now for 2 years. I noticed you gentlemen talking a little bit earlier. You getting along pretty well, at least now?
Yeah. No, Mike's a great guy, and they've got a nice staff here. In fact, if you look at the football people in this rivalry, our coach, Dan Underwood, is now at San Diego, and, of course, Jim Harkema has gone from here to Eastern Michigan. And if you look at the players that have gone on to professional careers, both our schools are very proud of that, too.
Real quick, what do you think about the second half?
Well, I saw that we were a 22-point underdog coming in, and the scoreboard looks about like that. If we hadn't let them score that last touchdown, I think would be in good shape yet. It's going to be tough, but we'll see.
Good luck to you in the second half. Dean Davenport,
my pleasure,
the athletic director at Ferris State. Now let's listen and see a little bit more about Ferris State University in Big Rapids.
Ferris State University, located in Big Rapids, Michigan, is a distinctive, diverse polytechnic university with a century-old tradition of preparing students for careers. The phrase Ferris grad has become an industry password for educational excellence among thousands of employers across the nation. Ferris has a history of preparing graduates in a number of selected fields where there's a shortage of skilled technical workers. Each program is managed and taught by people who have industry experience and are dedicated to technical education. Of Ferris's 12,000 students, more than 90% are from Michigan. The 120 programs range from business and technology to optometry and pharmacy. The College of Optometry is one of only 16 in the country, and over half of the practicing retail pharmacists in the state are Ferris Pharmacy graduates. Students at Ferris receive a hands-on education, which provides real-world experience, assuring them of success after graduation. 80% of Ferris graduates are employed in their major field of study, one of the highest placement rates in the state of Michigan. Much of that credit goes to Ferris's distinguished faculty, 2 of whom recently received prestigious Fulbright Awards.
Ferris is one of this country's major polytechnic universities. The faculty in our various departments work closely together to ensure that our students receive an integrated educational experience, an experience that will prepare them for success in careers in the fields of their choice.
Ferris State, a polytechnic university whose graduates get jobs.
With your health plan, do you have to run all over when you feel run over? First to the doctor, then the lab, then the pharmacy.
Sir?
But Grand Valley Health Plan is different. All you have to do is go to a Grand Valley Health Center. We're the only health plan that puts doctors, lab, pharmacy, and more all together in one spot. Grand Valley Health Plan. We're an altogether different kind of health care, so you don't have to run all over when you feel all run over.
And?
This winter, look out for rain, snow, mud. Get a GMC 4x4. It's the big GMC Truck 4x4 preseason sale. Save $1,000 now on the all-new four-door Jimmy, $500 off all-wheel drive Safari midsize vans, and save $1,000 on four-wheel drive Sonoma pickups. Take a test drive now and get one of these attractive college caps. 4x4 sale at Elhart Holland, Benton Auto Center, Grand Haven, Tom Miller GMC Muskegon, and all West Michigan GMC truck dealers.
This is Freedom Village Holland, West Michigan's newest retirement community. Right now, we're building excitement with over 60% of our apartments already reserved.
If you're over 62, have time and energy to do the things you've always dreamed of, and would like to live in a spacious and affordable apartment overlooking the waterfront, Freedom Village may be just right for you. You will want to visit our model center today, open daily till 4 at 4th and Columbia, Holland.
Retirement just doesn't get any better.
Back at Grand Valley State University, 21-6, the Lakers lead the Ferris State Bulldogs, and now the athletic director for Grand Valley, Dr. Michael Kowalczyk. And Doctor, first of all, this is your second year as AD here at Grand Valley. It's been a really good time for the school athletically.
Oh, it's been a great time, and I'm just proud to be a part of it, Bob.
When you came on board, a lot of things were set in place for you. Facilities, I think, would have to be one of the first and foremost.
Well, I think we have great facilities. Dr. McDonald, who was here obviously before me, started it, and we're just kind of continuing it, so we were happy with it.
Saw you on the sidelines pacing up and down. You're into this quite a bit. What'd you think of that first half?
Oh, I'm always nervous before a game and during a game, but it was a good first half. There's a lot of good hitting going on down there, and of course with this rivalry, you can't ask for any better.
I asked Dean Davenport the same question as far as he was concerned. Do you feel a little extra emotion, a little extra oomph when it comes time for Grand Valley and Ferris in either football, basketball, or any other sport?
I think so. I don't think you have to ask or say anything when it comes to those two schools. The adrenaline flows high, and they get right after it. So it's just a beautiful day to see them both out here.
It is a beautiful day for college football. Dr. Lovers, the president of the university, who, of course, the field is named after, he's a strong backer of the program, isn't he?
Dr. Lovers is. He's a real sports fan. The entire administration is really behind its academics and athletics here, so we're proud to be a part of that. Bob.
You mentioned about academics and athletics. Jack Hall, an example as your quarterback, you know, a 3+ grade point average. I mean, this is something that maybe a lot of people, instead of focusing on the negatives in college athletics, they take a look at Division II and see these kids are getting their education as well.
That's true. That's the one great thing about Division II athletics, and especially Grand Valley State and Ferris. They really do emphasize their academics, so they're here to do both, and I think they enjoy doing both.
Okay, final thing, your expert opinion. What's going to happen second half?
Oh, I hate to give opinions, but I'm biased, so I'm hoping we'll win. Even if it's by 1 point, I'll be happy.
Okay, Doctor, thank you very much. Dr. Michael Kowalczyk, the athletic director for Grand Valley. Once again, 21-6, the Lakers lead at halftime. Now let's take a closer look at more on Grand Valley State University in Allendale.
Grand Valley State, Grand Rapids' own university. Established by the state to serve the people in Michigan's second largest metropolitan area, covering Kent, Muskegon, Ottawa, and neighboring counties. Grand Valley has been Michigan's fastest growing university since 1982. Current enrollment is nearly 12,000 students. Our graduates are admitted to the nation's finest graduate schools, and they enjoy successful careers in such fields as law, medicine, business, and teaching. Our master's degree programs include business administration, computer information systems, education and special education, health sciences, nursing, physical therapy, public administration, social work, taxation, and communication. In all, we offer 75 undergraduate and graduate degree programs from our downtown Grand Rapids campus, our Lakeshore Center in Muskegon, and our main campus west of Grand Rapids in Allendale. We're Michigan's first university to offer complete degree programs via satellite television, sending programs in nursing and education to students in 14 Michigan communities. Our L.V. Eberhard Center on our downtown Grand Rapids campus offers graduate and upper-level professional and graduate degree programs, as well as seminars, workshops, and teleconferences for people in business, industry, government, health and human services, and higher education. Our Lakeshore Center on the Muskegon Community College campus provides degree programs for working people and community college transfer students who live in the Lake Michigan shoreline communities from Grand Haven and Holland. Grand Valley State University attracts above-average students. The grade point average for incoming freshmen at GVSU was 3.3, and their average ACT score was 23.1. That's significantly better than both the Michigan and national averages. Of all students from this region who attend state universities, the largest percentage by far choose Grand Valley. They know that Grand Valley State will help them learn for all they're worth.
Halftime activities continue here on the campus of Grand Valley State University. The Lakers 21, the Ferris State Bulldogs 6. We'll be back with more right after this timeout.
Most good things don't come easy, but here's a great one that does. Maximum protection. Think about it. Then don't stop short of the peak.
Don't stop short of the peak. No, don't stop short of the peak.
Seeing your business information system in a whole new light. That's Ameritech.
designing a system that speeds medical insurance claims with no paperwork, making libraries at 2 universities work like one, managing a county government's network as it grows, consulting, designing, managing voice and data systems that work far into the future to help you see the light. Ameritech, solutions that work.
Action, action, action. It's Action Week at Williams. So act now and get big savings on everything from Action recliners to sofas and love seats. Like this contemporary incliner love seat and sofa, just $749.99 and $849.99. Or this Action grouping in brown velvet love seat, $539.99, sofa, $829.99. Incliner sofas, only $879.99. And Action recliners, priced from just $159.99. During Action Week now at Williams.
The Big and Tall Shop at Rogers Department Store really has it all. Quality name brands and selections that are truly overwhelming.
Rogers Big and Tall Shop has everything you need. Quality name brands in those hard-to-find sizes. There's just no other Big and Tall Shop anywhere in Michigan quite like it. If you're bigger or taller than the average guy, Rogers Big and Tall Shop is the place to be.
Name brand after name brand after name brand. Only from the Big and Tall Shop at Rogers Department Store.
The Field House at Grand Valley State University has been honored by Athletic Business Magazine as one of the finest university facilities in the country. In addition to Grand Valley State University students, the Field House facilities are also available to you and your family. The swimming and diving pool, the arena, the weight room, and special programs are open to the public. You can even browse through the latest in Laker fashions at the Laker Pro and Gift Shop. Contact the office at Grand Valley State University Field House and find out how you and your family can participate.
We're back once again in Allendale. Tom Cleary along with Rob Rubik and Bob Trimble at the end of the first half. Grand Valley leading Ferris State by the score of 21-6. Here are the first half statistics, Rob, and look at that yardage for Grand Valley. Almost 300 yards of total offense. And Jack Hall has quietly put a lot of people to sleep with that passing. 208 yards throwing in the first half for the Lakers.
Yeah, we were just discussing that, Tom. I don't know where the 208 yards came from. It seems like they've been running the ball well, and I guess they pass so efficiently you don't even realize that they're amassing yards just going up and down the field.
Well, Grand Valley had 1 turnover in the first half. They also had several costly penalties. You see the penalties there, a total of 12 for over 100 yards combined for both teams. There were several plays when there were multiple flags dropped, and there were also a number of plays where penalties were offsetting against the two schools. But it's been a rather mistake-filled first half from a standpoint of penalties and from the mental errors on both sides, but especially by Grand Valley. Because when you look at the numbers, Rob, the numbers certainly favor Grand Valley, and when you take a look at the individual statistics, you see that with 17 first downs, almost 100 yards on the ground, 208 yards passing, and everybody going for large averages. Lynch has carried the ball, for instance, 8 times for 59 yards. That's 7 yards a crack for the fullback. Isaiah Lipsy, 7 carries for 44 yards. That's 6 yards a carry. Teddy Munkin has caught 5 balls for 78 yards. And Grand Valley really could have a lot more than 21 up on the board right now.
Yeah, once again, the penalties have hurt them on their drives. A few miscues, drop balls, or so forth. But I think Ferris right now, we're going to see Ferris come out in the second half, Tom, and start passing the ball a lot more. They're down 21-6. They're going to try to run the ball a little bit, but I got to believe they're going to put it up in the air because they've had good success passing.
Well, let's find out what Ferris has got planned. Bob Trimble standing by right now with Keith Otterbein.
Keith Otterbein with me. Keith, first half, some problems. So tell me what you talked to the team about.
Well, we were getting ourselves out of drives, fumbling the football or penalties. We were moving it pretty well. Defensively, we've got to wrap up and make tackles. So it's a matter of just playing more fundamental, sound football.
Lakers making mistakes as well. I mean, you weren't going to have 3 points, but it worked out that way.
Right. We feel pretty good about coming out of there with the 3 points. Gets us within shooting range. Now we got to go play football.
Team pretty high?
Oh, we're ready to go.
Okay, good enough. Keith Otterbein, thank you very much. Again, 21-6 at halftime. Back up to Tom and Rob.
All right, Bob. Well, Ferris will have the ball here to start out the second half. Grand Valley took the opening kickoff, did very little with it, but the Lakers have not, by any stretch of the imagination, Rob, put this one away, 21-6. And
they just went to get him.
Still within a couple of scores here. So if Doug Arnold can get something going offensively, I think it's going to have to be through the air because with the fullback Millette out of action today, running yardage has been very difficult to come by for Ferris.
Yeah, you're going to have a hard time running on any 4-3 defense, especially with skilled players like Grand Valley has. Arnold's had a pretty good day passing the ball. He's had some receivers open. Once again, he's had a few drops, a few overthrows. I think Grand Valley, if they're going to contain Arnold in the Ferris State offense, they're going to have to put more pressure on him in the second half.
Doug Arnold did not have a bad first half for Ferris State. 9 of 17 statistically, his numbers. 136 yards total offense for Ferris. Most of that coming through the air. Net passing yardage of 108. But the problem for Ferris came on the ground. They tried 14 times to run it. They picked up only 28 yards. That's only 2 yards a crack. And those numbers are not going to win very many ball games for you. Conversely, Grand Valley, 18 carries, 91 yards, 5 yards a crack. And if you can make 5 yards per play offensively, regardless of how you're doing it, Rob, you probably shouldn't lose any ball games.
I'm not a math major, Tom, but if you're getting 5 yards a play, you really should be able to hold on to the ball, at will. Once again, Ferris was struggling, 14 for 28. They have to try to get some type of ground game, but I'm pretty sure you're going to see them maybe attempt a few runs, but the ball's going to be in the air much more for Ferris in the second half.
Well, Grand Valley has had some difficulty with mistakes throughout the year, and as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Rob, I said that Grand Valley has basically been bludgeoning teams that they have played. They're not real precise all the time, but they just hammer, and eventually they make it happen.
Yeah, I think Ferris has done a pretty good job. The score is 21-6, but considering what Grand Valley did last week to Northern up in Marquette, Ferris has done himself fairly proud. And they've had a few bad breaks and a few costly penalties, or the game could probably even be closer than it is.
Well, Grand Valley has been a second-half team throughout the year. Keith Otterbein told me earlier this year that he felt that Tom Beck was one of the best coaches he's ever seen at making halftime adjustments. Grand Valley very typically comes out and plays much better in the second half. Miguel Seguro has it down at the 35-yard line. Back to receive this kick, Lou Melcurry is the deep man. And we are about ready to go here for the second half of today's college football action on TV 13. Grand Valley and Ferris with the Lakers kicking off and kicking poorly out of bounds. Penalty flags again all over the field on this one. Grand Valley, I think, was offside, and then they also kicked it out of bounds. So Ferris will have some options here to consider.
What is it? Do they get the ball on the 35 or at the spot in college, Tom?
Illegal procedure. Now, let's see what happens here with the officials. I'm not sure if the offside penalty would take precedence here, but I think that Ferris is going to end up taking the ball at the 35-yard line. So we'll see what happens, but I think this one is going to give the Bulldogs good field position.
I think they had the option. They could take it at the 35 or have them re-kick it.
I think what they would want to do, though, is have them re-kick it, because Seguro has not kicked it very long today, and if they don't do anything silly on this kickoff here, they should get better field position than the 35. Now Melcurry is going to go back to about the 15. Seguro is going to kick it from the 30. So if Ferris is able to return this ball with any kind of authority whatsoever, they should have better position at the 35. And I've always felt, Rob, that this is a play that you should consider a real offensive possibility play for the kick teams. I've always been kind of astounded why guys would down a kickoff a yard or two deep in the end zone. I mean, why not take the crack? You might break it. What's the difference if you get it at the 17 or the 20?
Special teams are 1/3 of the game, and people sometimes forget that. Anytime you get your hands in the ball in the open field, you got a chance for a big play, and that's just what a kickoff is.
Melcurry gets it. He goes up the middle, and there he is across the 35 to the 37. Actually had to make a pretty nice run back to get it to that point. The guy that ducked in and got a hand on him was Wood, and also their Dan McClain on special teams for Grand Valley. But it's pretty good field position for Doug Arnold and the Bulldogs of Keith Otterbein. They trail 21-6 here as third quarter action begins at Lover Stadium. 3 running touchdowns for Grand Valley, 2 by Lynch, 1 by Lipsy in the first half, and 2 field goals by Panasek for the Bulldogs to account for their scoring. A couple of wide outs again, play action. Arnold's got time here. He throws it over the middle, and it's incomplete. Probably should have been caught that time, but failing to wrap that one up was the tight end. It's Wally Donopoulos. And he couldn't latch onto that one and around midfield, so the Bulldogs will go 2nd and 10. Pretty good throw that time, though.
Yeah, it was a pretty well-disguised play. It was a little fake left. He rolled out to the right. He had the tight end coming across an angle across the middle. The ball was thrown a little bit high. Probably should have caught the ball, went up with 2 hands, and once again, a little poor execution has cost Ferris.
Tough situation to be in against the Lakers now. I formation. Pilazinski and Littlejohn behind Doug Arnold. It's Littlejohn who gets it. He's hit immediately, and the guy that got there was big, number 96. Actually, it might have been 98, Jim Kramer. Kramer made the stop for Grand Valley. Kramer's had a big year. I believe he was a player of the week in the MIFC earlier this season. He's had a fine season. All those defensive linemen have played well for Tom Beck as a group.
When you get a solid front four like that, your linebackers can pretty much run wild back there, and you get good penetration, and the linebackers can fill. And it's really hard to run against. There's 14 rushes for 28-yard troops in the first half.
Those are mostly linebacker-sized defensive linemen for Grand Valley, but Tom Beck believes in quickness on the defensive line. Arnold here throwing complete for the first down to Sparky McEwen at the 47-yard line, and he was really drilled hard. But Arnold stood in there and made a nice toss that time, and Ferris will have the first down nearing midfield as Flannery made the hit for Grand Valley.
I thought Sparky was bobbling the ball a little bit. I saw it rolling on the side, but maybe he had come down with both feet in bounds.
Well, the discussion right now is whether or not Sparky actually has the first down. I thought he was up closer to the 48 when he was driven out there. Here is Sparky. Went to Creston High School, played quarterback last year, as a matter of fact. He started some ball games at quarterback, but then when Doug Arnold won the job outright, Keith Otterbein did with Sparky what Tom Beck has done with Robert Hunt this year. He moved him into a position where he could utilize his talents, and of course Ferris's outstanding player last year, Rob, was Andre Johnson, who very nearly made the Miami Dolphins, and that was a big hole that they had to fill, so Sparky was the guy that Otterbein called on, and they're going to say now that he's a little bit shy of the first down, and here's a decision for Otterbein, 4th and just a couple of inches at the 47-yard line, and it would appear at this point that Arnold and the Bulldogs will go for it.
I think Coach Otterbein would definitely want to go for it here, 4th and a couple inches. He needs to control the ball because what's been killing him all day is when Grand Valley has the ball. And keep it out of their hands, have your offense on the field.
Critical play right now for Ferris. A lot of people up tight, 7 men on the line for Grand Valley. Arnold taking a look at the line of scrimmage. Let's see if he just dives straight ahead himself, sends a man in motion, and he's going to give it off to Littlejohn, and Littlejohn's got the first down at the 48-yard line. So good patience that time and a good solid call. Everybody submarining at the line of scrimmage, and Littlejohn got the ball a little bit behind the line of scrimmage. He was able to pick his hole. You don't need much of one in that situation.
Nothing too difficult about that. You just have your line fire out off the ball, let your fullback go off tackle, and tell him to put his nose down and get you 3 inches, and he did that.
So Littlejohn with the first down carry. We are a minute 15 into the third quarter here at Grand Valley. Tom Cleary along with Rob Rubik and Bob Trimble. 21-6 Grand Valley leading here as the Lakers try for their 7th consecutive win, their 20th consecutive regular season win over the last 3 seasons. Arnold's going to hand it off, deep hand off to Littlejohn. He's in the clear. Had to break a tackle, but he couldn't get past Wood at the 36-yard line of Grand Valley. But it's a big carry that time, a pickup of about 17 on the play down to the 35 as Delbert Littlejohn shakes loose for his biggest gain of the day.
This is just a little bit of a sprint draw for Ferris. Arnold goes back, gives a deep handoff to Littlejohn. There's a crease. Grand Valley over-penetrate a little bit in the front four. Gets into the secondary, shows some good speed, picking up a big gainer.
Nice work done up front that time by Ferris. First down and 10 on the option. Littlejohn's got it again. He eludes one tackle, but he's brought down by Hunt. Actually, it's Hardy Farr making the tackle. Hardy Farr with the stop, the defensive back, a freshman from Grand Rapids. From Ottawa Hills, a guy that a lot of people think has a tremendous physical ability for the Lakers.
They had the option defense pretty well there. They made the quarterback pitch it. Wood was there as to take the pitch man, but he just missed the tackle, and Hardy Farr had to come up and make the play.
At the 31-yard
now they're going to put Littlejohn in the slot to the right. McEwen is flanked right. Pilazinski, the lone remaining back behind Arnold here. 1-on-1 coverage on Littlejohn if they can get him down the field. Let's see if Grand Valley rolls up to this side. Right now they don't look as though they're going to do that. And now Hunt backs off a little bit. They're looking for McEwen, but he broke off his pattern that time. I'm not sure who that one was intended for. I think that Arnold was expecting McEwen to see that man-to-man coverage and maybe break it upfield, but he turned to the out, and that one was well overthrown.
Yeah, I think Arnold was checking off at the line. I don't think Littlejohn picked up the audible. He was looking for him to run down the seam. Littlejohn ran a little curl over the middle, and it was miscommunication, and that makes it 3rd down and 7. And once again, the miscues are costing Ferris.
Perhaps 4-down territory on this drive. Ball at the 31-yard line. Let's call it 3rd and 7 for the Bulldogs. Same alignment. Littlejohn in the slot right to McEwen flanked right. Pilazinski behind Doug Arnold. Grand Valley jumping around, doing a little bit of stunning with the linebackers. Arnold with the long count. Short drop, throws it over the middle, and that one was intended to nobody. It was actually in the direction of McEwen, but he was well covered, and that ball landed closest to Mike Flannery, the defensive back. So now a 4th down situation coming up here for the Bulldogs.
Grand Valley kind of deceived Ferris, so they jumped into a blitz look. I think Arnold checked off, and they jumped back out of it, and the play was well defended. They had, the coverage was right there, and he ended up just throwing it away.
Well, here's Panasek, who had that long field goal early in the game that gave Ferris its only lead, and later had another one. His 4th field goal try of the day is going to be a little bit shy. He was trying that one from 47 yards, and Panasek is not able to convert, so Grand Valley takes over on downs here with 12:10 remaining in the 3rd quarter. We'll take a break and come back with more action from Grand Valley after this.
The Grand Rapids campus of Grand Valley State University, a young, dynamic institution with a well-established reputation for faculty and program excellence, meeting the higher education needs of the Grand Rapids area. Complete your undergraduate degree, earn your MBA, your Master's in Education, Computer Information Systems, Social Work, or other graduate degree in a state-of-the-art university close to home. The Grand Rapids Campus Everhard Center, Grand Valley State University.
What makes Chemical Bank a great bank? Home equity loans without points, application fees, appraisal charges, or title insurance premiums. Let a Chemical Bank loan officer show you how to use the equity in your house to reduce your cost of borrowing.
We're here to help you at Chemical Bank. You're everything that a great bank should be. That's what I like about Chemical Bank. I like Chemical Bank helping me.
We're back once again. 3rd quarter action here in Allendale. Tom Cleary along with Rob Rubik and Bob Trimble. Grand Valley taking over for their first possession of the 2nd half after that Ferris State drive stalled on the missed field goal attempt by Mike Panasek. Panasek, though, has provided the only scoring here today for the Bulldogs. He has converted 2 of 4 field goal tries, and he has been the man who has almost single-handedly kept the Bulldogs into this one. Jack Hall will try to get his offense going. Ferris jumps early on. Lynch has got the football, and he is wrapped up for a short gain. I think this might be an offside call, though, against Ferris. They got across a little bit quickly. The man that made the stop was
Gino Tellerisio in on the tackle. Flag down on
Tellerisio made the stop for Ferris, but it's going to be an offside call against the Bulldogs. So obviously Jack Hall will take the penalty here, and it will be a 1st and 5 situation coming up for the Lakers.
It was a good look. As you can see, Phil Fillion got his head across, and he just couldn't get back in time, so it'll be a 5-yard walk-off against Ferris.
5-yard penalty and 1st and 5 for the Lakers.
Well, Fillion is another Canadian playing on this team. He's out of Windsor, Ontario. Ed Fillion, 6'1", 235, a freshman. Number of Canadian players making their presence felt in college football in Michigan this year. The young guy down at Western Michigan, Rob, Brad Tales, is also from Windsor, and he's shown himself to be very adept at the American version of football. So Grand Valley now with a 1st and 5, wideouts to both sides, double slot. Lynch, the remaining setback behind Jack Hall, and here's the reverse inside handoff to Sanders. Sanders is going to get across the 40. He's going to pick up just about 5 yards, but he'll be about a foot or so shy of the 1st down, just across the 40-yard line. Bob Trimble is standing by right now. Let's go down and chat with a good friend of mine, Mark Dewey, the San Francisco Giants.
That's right, Tom. Mark Dewey got called up to the major leagues this year. How'd it feel?
It felt great. It's what I've dreamed about since I was 7 or 8 years old, and when I finally got there, it was every bit as exciting as you think it would be.
It's been about 3 or 4 years since we did a feature on you here as a member of the Lakers, and of course you played at Jenison High School. You put on some weight. You're a husky guy now here.
Well, I've added about 20 pounds since I graduated from college. I'm hoping to add a few more going to spring training about 210. I think the strength really helps me a lot.
Okay, Tom, we'll be back with you in just a moment after this play.
Here is Hall with a man open. Munkin on the sideline. A great pitch and a beautiful catch. And then they're going to say he's out of bounds. I thought maybe Teddy got one down, but the official was right there. But that's been a great combination so far today. Munkin taking the pass from Hall, but it's a long incompletion. Let's go back down to Bob and Mark.
Mark, you went to a team that had won the National League pennant the year before and, of course, had some troubles this year with an older pitching staff. Do you feel like next year you're going to get a chance to come into the ballgames a lot more, or what's Roger Craig maybe said to you?
I think I'll get a chance. From the sounds of things from Roger Craig, Norm Sherry, and some other things I've heard, I think I have a good chance of making the team out of spring training. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in the offseason with trades and free agency and stuff like that.
Okay, Mark, we'll talk with you more back at the studio next week. Thanks a lot. Mark Dewey. Tom?
3rd down and 1. Lipsey's got the 1st down. He hurdles over the top. He's just up shy of the 45-yard line, but there to make the stick for Ferris. In on the play that time was Scott Singstock, a freshman redshirt linebacker, who is into the ball game right now. He is out of Taylor, playing his high school football at Southgate Aquinas. So a nice play that time by him, but it's a first down on the run by Lipsey, Rob.
Yeah, Grand Valley, they had a second down and short, and Coach Beck decided to try to go airborne. He got to the soft spot in the cover 2 with the 2 deep safeties. The sidelines are the soft spot. He threw it down to Monken. It just was a little bit out of bounds, but he knew he had the big backs come back and pick up the 3rd and 1.
No sense wasting a second down opportunity like that, and Tom Beck will rarely do so. Here's Hull with a lot of time to throw across the middle. Nice catch by Lipsey at midfield, breaks a tackle. He's down to the 45. He will have, I believe, the first down. Not a great throw that time by Jack, but Ike went down and got it off his shoe tops and then made a nice move after the catch.
Yeah, that one Jack threw kind of low, but right at his knees, but Ike Lipsey was able to go down, pick up the catch, turn it up the field, pick up about 9 to 10 yards. It's just not, it wasn't really a thing of beauty, but it was effective.
You know, one of the things that Grand Valley has done well this year, Rob, has gotten the ball upfield to their wide receivers. Their leading receivers this year, their top 4 are all wideouts, and that's a little bit rare in this day and age when teams prefer to dump the ball off to their backs a little bit more. In contrast, the leading receiver this year for Ferris has been Delbert Littlejohn with 22 catches coming into this game. But Grand Valley had 57 catches spread among 4 wide receivers this year, as we see the numbers: Short, Sanders, Monken, and Gasson. And those 4 guys averaging almost 18 yards a catch, which tells you that they are really stretching the field and going north and south with that passing attack. On the draw play, Lynch is going to have some room to the outside. He breaks it nicely, cuts back in, and that carry of about 8 for Eric Lynch down inside the 40. What about his style, Rob? Anything that you see about Eric Lynch that makes him the back that he is?
Yeah, I think what really impresses me about Eric Lynch is his ability to, when he's going north and south, is to make the quick cut. I think we have a personal, I'll cut myself off here, I think we have a personal foul.
Might be unsportsmanlike conduct. I'm not sure. I saw the referee pointing back into the huddle as if somebody had said something at the end of the play. So the Lynch carry is good for about 8, but Grand Valley, again, in what is becoming a rather familiar pattern here, backing themselves up more than they're being backed up by Ferris, and it is indeed unsportsmanlike conduct against Ferris. I'm not sure who the guilty party was, but as Tom Beck indicated at the half, there's a lot of woofing going on both ways out there.
I don't know, but Coach Beck's got to be just going crazy on the sideline. Every time it seems like they get the ball going, moving down the field again, they have a penalty, and it's going to kill them in the long run. Your great football teams won't do that. They won't make those mental type of errors. You have to be able to have your poise and control yourself. And apparently Grand Valley wasn't able to keep their poise in that play, picked up a 15-yard personal foul.
Jamarl Island comes out of the ball game, and Lipsey is back in there right now. Again, a 4 wide-out look for the Lakers. Let's see if Ferris puts on some pressure. They're not able to get to Hall, who's going to have time. He's going to throw a strike in here to Lipsey, and it's caught, and it'll go for a touchdown.
Tremendous catch.
Oh, my. The defensive back out there for Ferris thought he had that play measured. He was thinking that he was going to knock that ball down. Tim Guthrie at the 10-yard line put his hands up, and he just misjudged it, I think, into the hands of Lipsey, and it goes for a score. Watch this one.
Hull rolls out to left. He sees cover 2. He wants to throw down the sideline against a 2-deep zone. It looks like the safety has it picked off. He comes over. What a catch. You won't see that done any better with the big boys upstairs.
Well, the
one's making the money.
The defensive back didn't see Lipsey coming into his view, I think is what happened. He never saw the receiver. He was rolled up in deep zone coverage, and he was really playing that ball perfectly. Lipsey just got a paw out there and pulled it in for a 53-yard touchdown reception. And with that, Grand Valley moves out to a 27 and make it a 28-6 lead here with 9:17 remaining.
I'll tell you what, Michigan State may be coming on next, but I don't know if you're going to see a play much better than that one by Hull to Lipsey.
Well, just a tremendous play that time by Ike Lipsey. And the play was really pretty well defended. The man back there defensively was Tim Guthrie, the defensive back out of Williamston. He was playing center field more or less.
It's a design throwback. As Hull rolls out to the left, he wants to look off to the left, try to get the safety leaning that way, then turn back and throw to the streaking Lipsey down the sideline. But the safety really didn't bite over that much, and I think right here you can see him. He's starting to he throws back. He throws a rope, and the safety thought he was waiting for the ball. I see. I didn't pick that up the first time. So his mistake was he's got to come back to the ball and make the play.
Well, it wasn't Guthrie that was back there. Guthrie was the guy that made the stab at Lipsey as he dived into the end zone. So let's apologize to him for that. The other defensive back that was back there, we couldn't catch the number, but Ike Lipsey just made a tremendous play that time. And, well, just one of those great achievements by Grand Valley as they get set to kick it off.
I was saying just to play before that the great teams don't make the penalties, don't have the miscues, while the great teams do make plays like that.
Not much you can do about that when Cigaro gets a pretty good leg into this one, and this kick will be taken at the 13-yard line. The return being made by Lou Melcurry. Dropped it, and Grand Valley has the football.
Remember you were telling me right after halftime that Coach Otterbein was he was afraid about how Grand Valley can just start rolling points up on you, and that they're a second-half club. And he was going to have to get his team fired out in the second half, Tom, but right now they seem to be struggling.
Well, Grand Valley definitely has the football, and this will be another opportunity for the Lakers. The guy that comes out of there with it, let's check and see. It looks like Chris Buchanan, who pulls the football out on the special teams. Really a big hit on the play, as we see it right here. And the guy that got down there, let's see if we can see when the pile untangles. I got my eye on him right now, and let's see who that was. It might have been 28 for Grand Valley. Was it Ken Marin who made the stop? Actually, it was probably Chris
First and 10, Grand Valley.
Buchanan who came up with the ball, but I think it might have been Ken Martin who made the hit with his hat, Rob, down there for the Lakers.
He did what every good special team coach tells you to do. He put your head right on the ball, make the play, and the ball came flying loose.
So here's Jack Hall at the helm again. Penalty flag goes down. This one's going to be, I think, against the Lakers for a quick movement in the backfield. Maybe Lipsy got off to a bit of a fast start there.
Yeah, Ike was leaning a little bit forward. I wasn't sure he was going to call it. I think the ref even kind of second-guessed himself, but he decided to call it. It was a little bit late.
22, Isaiah Lipsy.
He was in his up-back stance and as a tailback, and he just started leaning forward a little bit, and they got him for a little quick movement.
Let's go back to that touchdown play, if we could, to talk a little bit about it again. The Isaiah Lipsy touchdown reception. I mentioned that Tim Guthrie was the guy back there. Tim was not the guy who had the principal coverage on the play. He made a leap for Isaiah Lipsy as he kind of went into the end zone, but there was another defensive back over there who was just playing center field more or less on that play and trying to wait for the ball to come to him. And rather than wrongly impugn the character of one of the Ferris State football players, we'll just let it go and say we'll try to figure it out a little bit later on who that was back there. But the fact of the matter was, Robert, the play was made more or less by Lipsy. It was a great athletic play by Lipsy rather than a mistake made by the Ferris defensive back.
Throw wasn't too shabby either. Jack Hall threw it right on a rope.
They fake the inside handoff again. A man running free, Monken. It's going to be 6.
They come at you all ways, don't they, Tom?
The little guy, Teddy Monken, gets the score. Jack Hall with his second long touchdown pass of the afternoon here in the second half. This one goes for 32 yards. And you talk about open, he ran right past defensive backs at about the 15-yard line, and you could see this one a mile away, Rob.
Well, Coach Beck does what a lot of good coaches do. You get the quick turnover, the fumble on the kickoff, you come back right away and you hit him with the big play. It was wide open. The safety started biting up. Monken got down the post between them. Hall delivered the ball right on the numbers.
Boy, Jack Hull is really showing his stuff today. Well over 300 yards passing on the afternoon as Cigaro makes the kick to make it 35-6. The Lakers continue to roll here against the Ferris State Bulldogs. 2 quick scoring strikes. And Grand Valley now starting to roll it up a little bit here. We'll take a break and come back with more from Lover Stadium right after this.
Delisher than Fisher? What could be delisher than those? What could be delisher than nuts from Fisher? There's nothing delisher I know.
Can you name anything delisher than Fisher nuts? They're fresh picked, fresh packed, fresh roasted, fresh toasted. No wonder they taste fresh opened.
What could be delisher than Fisher? There's nothing delisher I know.
Your Dodge dealer is now showing his most exciting new lineup ever. Featuring the redesigned Dodge Caravan.
I like the new shape.
The new Shadow America, the lowest priced American car.
Price is very important.
The new Dakota V8, available with more power for less money than a Ranger 4-liter V6.
I could tow a 24-foot boat with this.
See your Western Michigan Dodge dealer today.
All right, 8:37 remaining here in quarter number 3. Grand Valley has scored twice. Miguel Cigaro getting ready to kick it off. Jack Hall has thrown 2 long touchdown passes here, 53 and 32 yards, as Grand Valley has busted this one open, 35-6. And the return is up to about the 27-yard line for Ferris. The guy that took it was Mel Curry, again, the return man for Ferris, the freshman from Sioux, Ontario. And now Doug Arnold has a very unenviable task here, trying to get his team back in this ball game as the Lakers have come out big time. Hull going to Munkin, 32 yards for the score. And Munkin is a guy that Tom Beck just loves to throw to, Rob, because he not only can he get downfield better than you might think, but he holds on to it when he gets it.
He's a great possession type receiver.
Here's Littlejohn breaking contain outside. Hardy Farr is going to have to run him down, but not until Delbert Littlejohn goes across the 45 to the 47, a gain of nearly 20 on the play. And for the first time this afternoon, Ferris got the block on the corner there. Let's talk a little bit about what happened on that play, Rob.
Well, it was the first time they were able to get outside against Grand Valley's defense all day. I think they got a good tight end, got a good hook. The wide receiver ran off the corner. I think they caught Grand Valley in a man-to-man. They're able to run off the corner, and once he popped outside, there was nobody there.
You know, that's important to make that point, Rob, because so often players or even fans will look at wide receivers and think they're out there doing nothing. But if the receiver doesn't run upfield on that one, the defensive back finds himself in the middle of the play.
You got to clear the zone. That's what you're taught all the time. Every receiver, tight end, back, you got to clear the zone.
They're going to give it to Littlejohn again. A little bit of a delay. He's up to the 50, tripped up there. Bart Duffield made the stop, the senior co-captain and linebacker. And Bob Trimble is standing by right now. Let's go down to Bob.
Well, Tom, emotions running high, certainly not only on the field, but on the sidelines as well. They got a couple of ex-players from the two schools. First, Marlon Harrison from Ferris. Not a good afternoon here today, bud.
Yeah, I know. It's like one of the big rivalries we have against Grand Valley. Grand Valley is a pretty darn good football team. They're very strong. Coach Beck has done a lot of recruiting throughout the state and the Midwestern states, Ohio and Illinois. It's some quality players. I'm proud to be part of the conference and have a team with such good potential. Got a lot of talent here.
Looks like they stopped him again, Tom. On this side, Alex Preuss, former tight end for Grand Valley, who is finishing up his degree right now. Alex, a tough way to watch in the sidelines like Marlon?
This is hard. This is really hard. I see myself out there right now. I wish I could be out there, but they're doing well. They're doing really good.
Jack Hull and the offense designed by Coach Beck are working really well today.
It seems like that I was kind of like concerned about the run and shoot, but it looks like it's working pretty well. And Bob, we could use Bob out there, Bob Mitchell, but they're doing okay. They're doing okay.
Hey, Tom, we'll go back to one more play and then come back 1 second.
Okay, the first down reception to Terry Pilazinski. Boy, did Mike Flannery put a hit on him, Rob. That might have been the best stick of the ball game.
Makes me glad I'm not playing anymore.
We didn't need to comment on that one. Here's Littlejohn. He's going to get inside. Duffield's got him wrapped up after a gain of about 2 on the play. Let's go down for one more quick comment with Alex Preuss, the tight end from last year's outstanding team.
Mention is that we talked to the athletic directors at halftime about getting degrees, especially in Division II. Marlon, you got yours. What are you doing now?
Yes, I got my degree in personnel management and industrial relations last May. Now I'm presently working in a Ford Motor Company in the quality control department. And so, it's one of the greatest things is to come to college and finish. It's the biggest thing, no matter what you do on the field, doesn't matter. The 4 years time you spent there, you go there to come to school, play football second. I think if everybody would stress that a little bit more, the averages would be a lot better and we'll have more productive people in our society. Because that's the basis. The colleges are the basis of our future.
I'm with you all the way, Marlon. Tom?
Okay, 2nd and 7. Arnold's got a man out here. Littlejohn caught it, but he fell down in the flat. Wood came up to make the hit that time on Littlejohn. A short gain on the play. But Grand Valley getting to that point in the ball game right now, Rob Rubik, where they can smell a little bit of blood out there. And I know the defense would like to generate a turnover here if they could, or a quick stop and get Hull and the guys back on the field.
Well, I think they'd also like to do that, and they'd also like to get the second stringers in here pretty quick. I think one more stop or one more score by Grand Valley, and I think you're going to start seeing Coach Beck start to substitute a little bit.
Here's the 3rd down play, 3rd and 2. Arnold with some time. Oh, and a bad break there. He just slipped and fell. The fullback, Pilazinski, was getting pushed back toward the line of scrimmage by John Jancic, and I'm not sure Pilazinski got a leg in there on Arnold, but Arnold goes down at about the 42-yard line. A big loss on the play, and that brings up 4th and long. But at this point, there's not much sense in kicking it away. You might as well try to go for the hit wherever you can find it.
No, Ferris right now needs to get a big play. You go for it on 4th down, you pick it up, you get a quick score, and you see what you can do. You maybe even onside kick at this time of the game. But they got to put some points on the board quick as possible.
Well, Grand Valley playing up pretty tight on the line of scrimmage. The corners, Wood and Flannery, are both up there close. Now Flannery's going to drop off Sparky McEwen. Arnold's got some time, delivers over the middle. Birdman Sickle on the 1st down reception at the 30. And that was well executed all the way around. A nice drop by Arnold, a good throw, and a very good pattern run that time as well, Rob.
And also the offensive line did a very good job. When Arnold's had time to pass today, he's been very effective. His receivers are getting open, he's delivering the ball. I think what everything's hinging on now is the offensive line giving them the time. Grand Valley's going to start pinning their ears back. They know he's got to put it in the air.
Talking to the Ferris coaching staff, early in the year, they felt that they had overloaded Doug Arnold a little bit. He's a redshirt freshman last year and played very well. This year, he's really only a sophomore in terms of football playing, and they thought they gave him too much. They've tried to simplify the attack a little bit, and he's done fairly well here this afternoon in the face of a very tough Grand Valley defense. Now Littlejohn gets through the line of scrimmage. He's brought down at the 27, and coming up quickly to make the stop that time was Robert Bell, who has yet to do his gravity-defying backflip for us today, but I suspect we will see that at some point during the proceedings.
5 brings up 2nd and 5 for the Bulldogs from the 27-yard line.
Bart Duffield, the senior linebacker, moving in and out of the action right now. He is one of 4 very good seniors. They only have 3 spots, so Tom Beck will move guys around a little bit at linebacker. Duffield is a senior, played at Pontiac Catholic. 2 wideouts to the left here for Arnold. Now he's trying to get the attention of Mel Curry. Gonna have to hurry to get this one off. Does so. Drops straight back, getting a little bit of heat. Now he's got some space up the middle. A man running free, but intercepted by Wood at the 2-yard line. Oh, now they say he dropped it. Oh, I thought he had that one. They're going to say he trapped it, not dropped it so much that he caught him, took it down.
I'm not sure. I thought he had it. I thought he hit the ground, and then after he bounced, it popped out. We got a replay here. Let's see what the big eye in the sky shows us.
I thought he had it too, and then maybe the contact was made when he hit the ground. Now, I think if Arnold had to do this one over again, he would have run with the football because he broke contain there and had a lot of space. The man that he was going for, Sparky McEwen, came open. Now, let's see. Oh, he's got it? Oh, he's got it all the way.
Yeah, I believe that's a catch. That's why I said he had it, he hit the ground, and on the second bounce, it kind of slid out.
You're right, Rob. It was the second bounce. Even on contact, he maintained it, but when he came down on it the second time, he dropped it. Tough break for Grand Valley. Should have been a good interception for Todd Wood, who played that one well. Now Arnold getting some heat up the middle. Jancic is after him. Now here comes Hunt. He throws back into the middle. Caught by McEwen for a first down. Beautiful play on a very tough throw. Running left, throwing right. McEwen came back to get that ball inside the 15 at the 14 as Scipio made the stop, but Arnold making the toughest of throws for quarterback.
Great athletic move by Mr. Arnold. He was showing pressure. He rolled to his left, and he threw back across his body to the right, which any quarterback will vouch for is one of the toughest throws, or is the toughest throw they have to do.
Not only that, it's tough to go back into the middle of the field when you're running left like that, and if you don't get a lot on that ball, somebody's going the other way in a hurry. 2 wideouts, 2 tight ends here. Littlejohn is the lone remaining back behind Doug Arnold. First down and 10 at the 14 of Grand Valley. 3:30 remaining. Lakers on top, 35-6. Littlejohn's got it. He's inside the 10 before he is wrapped up. And it was Robert Hunt who made the tackle from strong safety for the Lakers, but not before Delbert Littlejohn goes for about 5 on the play.
You have to be impressed, Tom. Right now, I know I am with Ferris, showing their poise. They're down 35-6 in the third quarter. Grand Valley just hit them for a big play, and they're not folding. They're taking the ball, going down the field. I think this is going to build a lot of character for this young team, and Coach Oderbine has to be very impressed and pleased with what he's seeing.
Well, you can't get helter-skelter out there when you're down by 4 touchdowns. You might as well try to execute as best you can. This drive may not pay a dividend this week in terms of the outcome of the game, but it'll give this team confidence as the year goes on that they can move the ball against a good defensive unit. Now Littlejohn is inside the 5, and he's got the first down at about the 2-yard line. So Delbert Littlejohn will give Ferris a first and goal here with 2:46 remaining, as we see some of the fans enjoying the homecoming festivities here at Grand Valley. Good crowd on hand today as well. We see the stands on the other side from our press box vantage point, Rob, nearly filled, and we know we've got a lot of Grand Valley supporters down below.
And this is my first chance to get back to a homecoming, and I'm enjoying it. It's been great working with you, Tom, and it's good to see so many people, so many alumni out supporting Grand Valley. It's a growing school and a great community, and things are looking bright, and Coach Beck has the future looking bright.
Doug Arnold trying to hammer one in right now. He'll send the man in motion left, and he's going to give it off to Tyree Dye, and Dye is down near the goal line, but not quite in. He is stopped inside the 1. Tyree Dye, the tailback, spelling Littlejohn on that particular play, but he's got it down near the 1. Nothing fancy that time for Ferris. They sent a man in motion to Todd Evans, who's actually a fullback, who's probably more in there for blocking purposes, and they just give it off to Dye, and Dye makes good penetration up front.
I think you're going to see something very similar this play, Tom. They're just going to go north and south, nothing tricky, nothing fancy, just play wham, try to get it in, put some points on the board.
Grand Valley might do some gambling at this point. They're going to give it off to Dye again, and Dye is going to get stood up at the goal line, but he got across with the nose of the football, and Ferris State gets its first score of the day into the end zone. That is the first touchdown to make it 35-12. Dye just jumped in over the top. Dan Moorman, the free safety for Grand Valley, made the hit, but Dye got it across, and now I believe the Bulldogs will probably go for 2 here. Well, there you see the play. They got in there on him. They wrapped him up quickly, but he only needed a few inches. And Ferris has a touchdown. Now a couple of guys coming on Lake here for Grand Valley. I can't believe that the Lakers are going to pull this one off without a penalty. Now they got all their people on right now. They got their defensive unit back on instead of the kick team. A couple of short, that would have been interesting. They're going to pitch it to Dye, and Dye is going to have some difficulty. He is hit and dropped by the cornerback Todd Wood, who came up. And Wood is playing himself quite a football game today. He had the interception that was negated by the officials' call, but now stops the 2-point conversion try. So it's 35-12. Grand Valley leading Ferris State here today on homecoming day, 1990 in Allendale.
They tried to run a quick pitch there for the 2-point conversion, but it was just a little slow developing. It's tough to run a quick pitch out of the I formation. It's better to run it out of split backs to get the guy outside quicker. Grand Valley strung it out. Wood was able to come up and make the play.
Been quite impressed with the defensive secondary today for Grand Valley. Wood and Flannery have both played well. The big one coming up here next week, Ashland University, 5-0, going into their game today with the winless St. Joseph. So it looks as though, for all intents and purposes, it'll be a couple of undefeated powers here next week, Rob. And Grand Valley, I would dare say, will have to play a little bit better and with a little bit fewer errors to beat Ashland next week here in Allendale.
Yeah, the execution has not been that bad as far as their play, but what's killing them is the penalties, and I think they're going to have to correct that if they're going to want to beat a team like Ashland of their caliber.
Panasek kicks it off. This one is going to be taken by one of the up men for Grand Valley. I believe that's Kenny Martin, who's got the ball, and he's running into some open space. He is across the 40 to the 41, so it's a nice chance for Ken Martin. Martin has been a starter part of this year in the defensive secondary. He had been the strong safety, the junior. He gave up his spot to Farr, who went in at free safety this week, and Robert Hunt moved over to strong safety. So here's some nice movement and some good blocking too as well.
Grand Valley did a good job picking up the first people down, the flyers, the wedge busters. They picked them up quick, opened a hole, and Martin did a good job bringing it out to the 41.
Jack Hall has been extremely successful here throughout the afternoon. He's got 2 scoring drives to his credit here in the second half, 2 long touchdown passes. He's dropping back to throw again. He's got the screen set up to Lynch, and Lynch has got some room. Lynch is going to be across the 50, still powering forward to the 45-yard line. So Lynch with a nice gain, 14-yard pickup on the first play of this drive for the big fullback.
Coach Beck once again goes to the screen to Lynch. He's trying to get the ball into Lynch's hands as much as he can. This is pretty well design. You see Hall going back, he hits Lynch, he turns up the field, he follows his blockers. He shows once again great balance and great strength in his thighs. You see him run over one defender, another one. It takes 2-3 people to gang tackle him to bring him down.
Tom Beck was a quarterback himself and a defensive back, a two-way player in Northern Illinois, one of the great players in that school's history. He's really got the coolly analytical mind and thought process of a quarterback, Rob. You can just tell he's out there trying to anticipate the emotion of the moment. Hell goes down after a short gain on first down. Grand Valley was going for the big hit again that time.
Tackle on the play by 49, Kevin Wooden.
But getting back to Tom Beck, we'll talk a little bit more about him as the afternoon goes on, as we see the Spartans and the Wolverines coming up at 3:30 here on TV 13. I talked to Tom earlier this week about the play that Grand Valley scored on, that screen pass that produced a touchdown on the first play of the game last year in Big Rapids. And I asked him how he came up with that. He said, well, it was a big game for Ferris. I figured the emotion would be high on their side. We'd give them a little bit of a sweep look, and guys would be flying to the ball, and we figured we could go back to the weak side and make something, and that's exactly what happened. He predicted it perfectly before the game even started, and it worked like a dream, as we see Bruner now spinning away from a tackle on second down inside the 40-yard line.
Yeah, I think what Coach Beck did last year was take advantage of Ferris's over-aggressiveness. When you have a team that's sky-high coming out, knock you off, and they're flying around, you just have them run to the ball, but not have the ball going that way. A little misdirection, set up a screen backside, you get a big play.
Terry Jones with that last stop for Ferris as the third quarter comes to an end. Grand Valley leading Ferris 35-12. More football action on TV 13 after this.
Amoco provides you with the finest lubricants for the smoothest operation of your equipment. Amoco offers over 400 specialized lubricants to help keep your heavy equipment and OTR rigs running stronger, longer. Amoco oils and greases also help minimize your lubricant costs without compromising quality. At Van Manen Oil, we have bulk storage and warehousing facilities, allowing us to provide the Amoco products you need when you need them throughout your market area. For the Amoco jobber serving your area, call Van Manen Oil today.
Announcing the new 1991 Plymouth Sundance America. At just $76.99, it's the lowest priced American car and the lowest priced car in the world with an airbag. Sundance is a sporty 5-seater that comes with a lot of great features like power steering and power brakes. Plus, it has plenty of cargo space and gets great mileage. Now that's value that's hard to beat, and that's Advantage Plymouth.
See Highland Chrysler Plymouth today.
We're back for fourth quarter action here in Allendale. Tom Cleary along with Rob Rubik and Bob Trimble. Grand Valley leading 35-12 against Ferris. Another big game going on, especially for our viewers north of Grand Rapids. The Central Michigan Western game at halftime in Mount Pleasant. Western, the Broncos of Al Moldy leading it by the score of 6-3. And here's Grand Valley on the attack again. A fumble, but it comes right to Sanders, who might have been getting that ball anyway. A little bit of an unusual transition. It looked as though they were going to pitch that time on the option to the man in motion. Hull got jostled a little bit, dropped it, but John Sanders picked it up and made about a yard on the play.
I'm kind of curious to see what Coach Beck will do here. It's a 4th and 4 on the 38-yard line. I got to believe he'll go for it right now, try to hold on to the ball. He feels, I think, if he can hold on to the ball, take it in and score some points here, might be the last nail in the coffin for Ferris.
Kirk Showers is back into the lineup right now for Grand Valley as we go to this 4th down play. 4th and 3 coming up here for the Lakers with the 14:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. Power I in the backfield. Bruner is in there right now with Lynch. Bruner goes in motion. Hull's going to pitch it to Jamarl Island, who's got Monken open deep, but he's not going to get there. Well, it was there. It was open, and except for about a yard extra on that throw, it would have worked as Ted Monken was bidding for another touchdown. On downs, though, Ferris takes over, and let's take this opportunity right now to go down with Bob Trimble. Bob.
Thank you, Tom. I'm with Dr. Aaron Lubbers, the president of Grand Valley State University. Dr. Lubbers, a wonderful day for football. You got to be pretty happy.
Perfect day for football. It's and if the score stays the way it is, I'll be happy too.
I guess when you're leading 35-12, you can run a play like that on 4th down, right?
I think our coach would do it in under any circumstances. I think he loves to take chances.
We were talking with some other players from the other schools earlier about academics and athletics. It's a big part of your school and Ferris.
Well, of course, the athletes have the same rules and regulations the rest of the students have, so that's the way it is here.
And you say if you have a smarter ball player, he's going to make the smarter decision.
I've said to the coaches all the time, if you have a smart ball player, you'll have him for 4 years.
It was a pleasure to have you with us. We're glad to be here today. Okay, Dr. Lubbers from Grand Valley State. Again, Tom, back up to you.
Okay, Bob, on the first down play for Ferris, a short gain on the run by the quarterback, Doug Arnold. Nice play defensively, Rob, by John Jancic, who never really allowed Arnold to skirt outside. He fought his man off and then made the hit at the 40.
That's a tough play for a big fella like Jancic because Arnold's a small, quick little quarterback. He had him 1-on-1 open field and was able to stop him for a short gain.
Here's some pressure coming. Grand Valley with the all-out blitz that time. Maybe Ferris had the right play call if they could have turned it upfield because they were going to run the football. Grand Valley anticipating pass on 2nd and long, but Arnold was not able to get through the maze of players out there. And here is Mark Bland, that defensive end, who is so quick, and Smith coming up to make the stop.
Yeah, Mark Bland does a great job of closing down and not enabling Arnold to make the pitch pass on the option. He cut it short, made him turn it up the field where the pursuit of the defense was able to stop it for a no gain.
On the downside for Grand Valley, Smith got dinged a little bit on that play, and he's going to come out. Billy Smith, a 6'1" senior, 227 pounds, a very important part of that defensive group for Tom Beck and the Lakers. Wideouts, 3 of them this time for Arnold. He's got time to throw, and he's hit and dropped. And it was 98 to Jim Kramer getting there. He dropped the football, and Grand Valley has it. I saw the receiver come open. I started to look upfield just as Arnold cocked his arm a little bit. And then he was hit and dropped, and the man that made the recovery was Bland, it looks like.
Yeah, Arnold dropped back into the pocket, and as he was getting ready to deliver the ball, he started bringing his arm back. He was hit from the side. The ball came loose, and Grand Valley was able to jump on it. I think it was Mark Bland with the recovery for number 44.
Mark Bland, a very, very quick defensive end. Otterbein mentioned him by name several times. You know, a lot of times you'll talk to coaches, and they'll say number 37 and number 82. He knew who Mark Bland was from looking at film. It was a guy that his number was a standout a couple of times when the Ferris coaching staff was trying to scout Grand Valley for this ball game, and I guess after about 5 times of saying the number, you finally look to the program to find out who he is, and that's when you know that you've got a player there.
You ask yourself, how come you didn't recruit him hard enough?
Pick up on the play for Grand Valley of about 6 yards. Lipsy on the first down carry. 12:08 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Grand Valley has this one well in hand, 35-12. It was 21-6 at halftime, but then Grand Valley came out with the 2 big strikes that went for touchdowns, one to Munkin, one to Isaiah Lipsy, which is really the play of the game so far to help them build their cushion. Here is Lynch going inside, cuts back against the grain, goes right up the middle down to the 15-yard line, and then a late flag coming in. I'm going to guess that this one's going to be against the Bulldogs. It went right down in the area of the hit. The officials are talking this one over. It's going to be an unsportsmanlike conduct or a late hit against Ferris, but great moves by Eric Lynch as he goes through the line of scrimmage. He is not just a guy with blinders on out there, Rob. He's going in a lot of different directions.
It's funny you said that, Tom. I was just noticing for a fullback, a lot of fullbacks are north and south, pound it, wham it in there type runners. Lynch, as soon as he gets through the hole, he has great vision. He'll slide to the right, slide to the left, find the crease, and then he has good speed for a fullback. I mean, this man's 215, 220 pounds, and he shows great quickness. I think that was a face mask penalty on Mr. Lynch. Or they grabbed Mr. Lynch's face mask, so tack on another 5 to 10 yards.
First down and 10 just outside the 10. It was half the distance to the goal line here. It's going to be Lipsy on the quick pitch. He runs through some people and gets down inside the 5, hanging on for dear life down there for Ferris. The defensive man that made the stop was Gino Talercio. Gino from Auburn Hills, Avondale, a captain, a senior here, holding on to Isaiah Lipsy as he goes down inside the 5 as Grand Valley tries for the score that would salt this one away.
Well, Tom, I know you're not a fortune teller or anything, but do you have any idea who may get the ball in the next couple of plays?
Well, if Tom Beck wants to be benevolent, he might let somebody other than Lynch get it. Let's keep an eye on Steve Bruner, who's in there right now in that power I formation. Let's see if they give him an opportunity.
Good call.
And it is indeed Steve Bruner.
Coach Cleary.
Well, I've got to call my broker here in the next couple of minutes, Rob, if I can make it happen. That time, the inside handoff to Steve Bruner, who goes in for the score. And that's a nice distribution of the wealth, you might call it, by Tom Beck.
You'll see a little counter trap. They use Lynch as a decoy. They run Lipsy wide on a fake pitch, and they just have the counter slant to Bruner, who comes inside. Nice hole. Great line blocking.
Yeah, you look at a hole like that at the 5-yard line, Rob, and you're doing something right. Hunt on the hold. Seguro has the successful PAT conversion, and Grand Valley moves out to a 42-12 lead. We'll take a break and come back with more from Allendale after this.
Grand Valley State University's Grand Rapids campus is headquartered in the Eberhard Center in the heart of the city. Classes here complement those on our Allendale campus 14 miles to the west. They include more than a dozen upper-level undergraduate professional programs and master's degrees, plus workshops and conferences for business and industry. This high-tech center has helped Grand Valley better serve its community, its nearly 12,000 students, and continue its record as Michigan's fastest-growing university.
What makes Chemical Bank a great bank? Home equity loans without points, application fees, appraisal charges, or title insurance premiums. Let a Chemical Bank loan officer show you how to use the equity in your house to reduce your cost of borrowing.
We're here to help you at Chemical Bank. You're everything that a great bank should be. That's what I like about Chemical Bank. I like Chemical Bank helping me.
We're back here at Allendale. Grand Valley leading 42-12. Rob Rubik, that last touchdown drive due in large part to the work of the offensive linemen up front there. Those 5 guys have played very well today.
Oh, Mike Sullivan, Bill McGorry, and Todd Lusick, they made a hole so big, Tom, I think you could have ran through it even after you made your call that Mr. Bruner was going to get it. He made a nice cut in the beginning, but when he got into the hole, those three gentlemen just pushed it like a crane and opened it right up.
Nice little action on that touchdown for Steve Bruner, who goes in. Now Cigarro kicks it off. This kick will come down at about the 13-yard line. Mel Curry has it again. He starts right, goes up the middle, breaks a couple of tackles, has a couple of guys to beat. But Hardy Farr, who was the last guy back there with the kicker, Cigarro, makes the stop at the 42-yard line. There's an indication of maybe the athletic ability of a Hardy Farr, because they don't just entrust that job to anybody, Rob. They want a guy who's fast and a guy who's an athlete back there, just in case this very situation comes up where a guy like Mel Curry breaks a couple of tackles and gets into the open field.
Yeah, you need somebody who's good on their feet and good with their head, because when you have the responsibility to be in the deep safety, you have to have good speed, but you also have to not get sucked in any type of reverse or counter action that they have set up on the kick return.
Arnold with the bootleg. He's got it downfield. It's intercepted by Bell. Bell has got a couple of people to beat. He can't do it. He gets inside the 40, though. And there he is. Now let's keep an eye on this act right here. Maybe, well, maybe not. Great interception, though, by Robert Bell, the 6'1 senior. If he weren't so close to his own bench, I think we would have seen the backward 2.5 there. Robert Bell out of Ottawa Hills, 6'1", 224. This guy played fullback a couple of years ago, and he knows what it's like to get it to the end zone.
I see Coach Beck is really starting to tap the Grand Rapids area, the Metro Grand Rapids area, as far as players. I think that's a key to Grand Valley's success. They can't start letting the quality players slip away to Western or to Central.
Well, you might be able to get good players elsewhere, Rob, but I think it's important for recognition within your community. If you want the people to come out and see your games, it helps if you have some local kids. You don't have to build your team entirely with players from Western Michigan, but that's always been a little bit of an identification problem, you might say, with the school out here in Allendale, is that people haven't really felt a real strong affiliation with the university. Bob Trimble is standing by right now on the sidelines. Actually, he's squatting, and he'll perhaps tell me why. Bob?
Well, Tom, I wanted to mention this is prescription athletic turf, and I think Rob would agree that playing on natural grass, that kind of surface, is much better than the AstroTurf, far less injuries. The field has coils underneath which heat the field and melt snow or ice or rain. And, of course, as you know, from Sunday through Wednesday this week, we were downpoured here in West Michigan. The field is not chewed up very badly at all. The cleats can dig in. It works well. And so far, not really much in the way of slippage on the players on the turf. Tom?
It's a good point, Bob. This is one of the better fields you'll find anywhere. This actually started this concept at Purdue. Now there's motion again. Grand Valley, by the way, was penalized 15 on the previous play, so they're looking at a 1st and 20. Let's talk a little bit about that, Rob Rubik. I know that as a guy who's been under the knife about a half dozen times for various knee problems, you probably rue the day that you had to leave Allendale to go to play on the carpet at the Pontiac Silverdome.
Yeah, it's really ironic, because when I came out of Grand Valley, I was looking forward to playing on AstroTurf, because during my 4-year stint here, we only played a couple games, one at Western and one at Northern Iowa, where we played on the turf. I thought, boy, this stuff is neat. Once you played on a while and your ankles start to throb and your knees ache, you kind of like wish you were home again on the nice soft grass.
Well, this prescription athletic turf was developed at Purdue University and was later adopted by such schools as Notre Dame and several others. Hull throws on 1st down, intended for Todd Gazun. It goes incomplete, but we're seeing a lot more schools now go away from artificial turf to the grass. I think Ohio State has gone back to grass this year at Ohio Stadium, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Michigan at some time in the near future is also going to go back to grass.
I think this may be their last year with the turf. The Chicago Bears, the NFL, also installed a grass field. It was so economically sound to put in AstroTurf, but the cost of that it is takes on the body, the toll, the pounding it gives on the athlete, I think is starting to overwhelm the savings that the schools get and the teams.
New quarterback in there right now. This is Brian Tazik. He's got a man open. It's complete. A big gain. And the catch made by the Grand Valley receiver. That was Faoud Zeban, and I think he may have hurt his leg. He took a big hit there. His knee took a helmet shot right on it. So that's a nice catch by the gutty little guy, Faoud Zeban. And while the Grand Valley staff attends to him, we'll take a short break and come back with more after this.
Smoother operations require the best lubricants. Amoco Industrial Lubricants, researched, developed, and refined by the long-standing leader, Amoco. Amoco's lubricants help keep your equipment running smoothly and minimize lubricant costs without compromising quality or productivity. At Van Manen Oil, we have bulk storage and warehousing facilities, allowing us to provide the Amoco products you need when you need them throughout your market area. For the Amoco jobber serving your area, call Van Manen Oil today.
What could be delicious than Fisher? What could be delicious than those? What could be delicious than nuts from Fisher? There's nothing delicious I know.
Can you name anything delicious than Fisher nuts? They're fresh picked, fresh packed, fresh roasted, fresh toasted. No wonder they taste fresh opened.
What could be delicious than Fisher? There's nothing delicious I know.
42-12, Grand Valley leading, but right now they're attending to a Grand Valley player, Faoud Zeban, who made the reception. He was actually short of the first down yardage. He had to get to the 29. He's down to the Ferris 34-yard line. Rob, you made a comment down there. We can't really speculate as to the nature of the injury, but you thought that perhaps the injury, whatever it is, might not be as severe because he didn't really have his knee planted at the time he took the hit.
Right. I hate to speculate, but I don't think he twisted his knee or sprained or strained his knee. It looked more like an impact type injury, possibly a fracture of a bone, which sounds bad, but it's not nearly as severe, or just maybe a contusion or bruise of some kind. But his legs weren't planted, so they are bringing a stretcher out.
Now they're going to not take any chances at all with Faoud, who was conscious and not seemingly in a whole lot of pain. He was pointing to his knee and he unbuttoned his chin strap. He was he's either a very, very tough guy or he was not stunned by what happened out there. But the pass was from Tazik, the second-team quarterback who came on, Brian Tazik. Tazik, a 6'3", sophomore, 206 pounds, seeing his first action. On the matchup next week, Grand Valley and Ashland right here in Allendale. They're expecting another big crowd today. Attendance 5,866 in Allendale, and certainly a lot of folks will be back to see what happens next week. Northern Michigan with that one loss to Grand Valley and tied by Ferris a couple of weeks ago. The other team in the title hunt right now, and perhaps with an outside shot, Hillsdale, always a very tough team when they were part of the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference.
7, ice in for 23, Bud Saban.
Well, the injured player leaving the field now for Grand Valley, and he seems to be alert and taking congratulations from his teammates. They're going to try to get him off the field and off the playing area and try to examine that knee. And let's hope that it's nothing too serious. The little guy, a tough reserve running back, and made a nice catch on that last toss from Tazik. So now Grand Valley with 3rd and 5 from the Ferris 34-yard line. Tazik on to run the attack. And he's going to give it off to Bruner. Bruner is hit and stopped. Nice defensive penetration there. The guy that made the hit for Ferris was Ed Fillion.
Loss of 1 on the play brings up 4th and 6 for
So Grand Valley now with a 4th and 6, and we'll get a couple of new people on. Stone and Gazun will check back into the ball game. Sanders is going to come out of there. Looks as though it's still mostly the first unit, with the exception of the quarterback, Tazik, who has replaced Jack Hall, who is done for the afternoon, and what an afternoon it's been. Some eye-popping numbers once again for Jack Hall in the passing department. 3 wideouts, actually 4 wideouts, a double slot, 2 wideouts. Bruner, the lone remaining back. Ferris jumped, free play for Grand Valley, and this ball is underthrown. Munkin could not decide what he really wanted to do. He was looking back. He had eye contact with the quarterback the whole way, but those two guys, the quarterback Tazik and the receiver Munkin, Rob, weren't on the same page.
Yeah, I think Tazik was checking off at the line, and Munkin wasn't sure, so he ran one of those iffy routes, you know, should have route. Should I do this or should I do that? And he got kind of hung up in no man's land, and Tazik let it go and threw it behind him, but fortunately it was a free play because Ferris had jumped off sides, which will bring up a 4th and 2.
And that probably changes the call a little bit here as Lynch comes back on. Showers, the tight end, is back into the ball game. Well, last time we kind of semi-expected that Lynch would get it. This time I would be willing to guess that he's going to get it for sure. Now Bruner is in the ball game though, but
the power I formation, they may run that counter.
Wide splits up front. Lynch has it. Lynch is just barely, well, he's not going to get the first down, but now penalty flags come in late. So let's wait and see. Lynch does not have the yardage for the first down. He's just across the 30. Ferris would be taking over on downs. It's holding against Grand Valley. Ferris, I'm sure, will decline. And with that, it would seem the ball would be going over to the Bulldogs. So they're going to talk it over right now, but there's not really any decision to be made. Grand Valley's defense will come on. The penalty declined, and with 8:30 remaining, Ferris will get it back.
Penalty declined by the Bulldogs. They'll take over on possessions. First and 10. Ferris.
Let's take a break right now and return with more from Allendale right after this.
Most good things don't come easy, but here's a great one that does. Maximum protection. Think about it. Then don't stop short of the peak.
Don't stop short of the peak. No, don't stop short of the peak.
Dodge's most exciting high-performance cars are now at your Dodge dealer. Featuring the new Shadow Convertible. Lower priced than any American convertible.
It's just so sporty looking.
The powerful new Spirit RT.
The turbo engine is great.
The new Stealth RT Turbo. The most advanced production sports car on the road.
The twin turbos, those really grab me.
Welcome home, America.
See your Western Michigan Dodge dealer today. Carl Lovin, William Schutte. Find out what lies in Michigan's future. The U.S. senatorial debate, Sunday night at 7 on TV 13.
Here's Ferris on the move offensively. Littlejohn
the ball
goes for about 4 yards. Littlejohn on the previous play ran for 15 and a first down for the Bulldogs. The clock running, 7:55 remaining here in the fourth quarter at Allendale. I'm Tom Cleary along with Rob Rubik, the former Grand Valley star and Detroit Lions tight end, and Bob Trimble. 42-12 the score. The Lakers have this one well in hand, but Ferris playing right now for pride and respectability. They've got the ball near midfield. Tom Beck has got a couple of alternates and reserves in there right now, backup players. Arnold throws it. It's complete over on the far sideline, and boy, that guy is a hitter. I thought that was Todd Wood over there, but it's not. It's the backup in there right now. Dan McClain, who is on, replacing Wood at the wide side halfback. On the Grand Valley injured player, Faoud Zeban, will be transported apparently to the hospital for more tests and observation. He injured his knee on a successful completion on that last Grand Valley drive. Coming up right now, Ferris trying to pick up the first down. 3rd and 2 here from the 47-yard line with just under 7 minutes remaining. I formation behind Arnold. And there's movement. Now, that wasn't a penalty, though, necessarily, because he got back down in his stance, but the ball carrier is stacked up. Let's talk about that, Rob. The fullback goes forward, and he reclaimed his position, and everybody thought there was going to be a penalty, but there was no penalty in the play, and it just turned out instead to be a loss of yardage and a loss of play.
The only people who cannot move are your interior linemen and reset. He moved a little bit, but he did reset himself for 1 second in time.
We're going to be going back down to the field to Bob Trimble here momentarily. Here comes the 4th down play, though, for Ferris. 4th and about 4. The ball just on the Ferris side of midfield. 2 wideouts again. Arnold is going to go back. He breaks contain on the outside. Has room to run if he wants to take it. Dan will make the first down. He got away from the Grand Valley defender over there. Bart Duffield had him but couldn't wrap him up, and Arnold goes for the first down. Now let's get down to Bob Trimble.
Yeah, Tom, it's kind of ironic. We just talked about that prescription athletic turf. Walker Zabin, according to the doctor, has a fractured femur of his right leg just above his right knee. And so obviously he's done for today and more than likely for the season. But they're going to be taking him to St. Mary's Hospital right now. But it is a fractured leg above his right knee. Tom?
May not sound like good news, Bob Trimble, but Rob, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, a broken bone is much better than any sort of ligament damage, and that should heal, and he should be back 100% physically before too very long. Littlejohn wrapped up on first down. Duffield atoning for his miss on the last play, making the tackle. There you see just about 6,000 fans on hand here today. And Grand Valley with a record crowd in Allendale for their homecoming game against Ferris. Bart Duffield is from Pontiac Catholic, Rob. I know you're living over on that side of the state right now. He's got a guy that he played high school football with, John Hood, who's coming back to play for Central today against Western after, I think, 3 knee surgeries in the last 3 years.
That's tough. That's tough. Coming off 1 knee surgery is tough.
And the pass is incomplete down the sideline. That time, Arnold trying to get the ball to Pettit, and now a penalty flag goes down late, holding against Ferris. But getting back to that John Hood story, one that a lot of our viewers up north are familiar with, John Hood was the All-MAC tailback, I think in 1987. He has not really played for 2 years now since then, but at one time he was a great runner. In fact, he was ahead of Donnie Riley, who was ultimately drafted into the NFL. by the Phoenix Cardinals, but he's coming back to play for Central today. And judging by that halftime score from Mount Pleasant with Western leading 6-3, Herb Duromedy might have to call upon John Hood before the afternoon's out.
Yeah, I saw Western play early in the year against Eastern at Ypsilanti, and Eastern won the game, but I was very impressed with Western. Their defensive front is very strong, and they have a good running attack, and Brad Teos has been quite a leader for them over the last couple of years.
Western's got a great all-around wide receiver and running back in Paul Agema from Wyoming Park, too, here in the Grand Rapids area. Arnold delivers, complete to Littlejohn. Littlejohn gets away from one man, but finally Hunt drives him down at the 25-yard line. But it's a big pickup on the play of at least 17. Let's see where they spot it. If they give him inside the 25, it'll even be a little bit more than that. They're going to give him down to about the 23-yard line. So a pickup of almost 20 on the play. Nice toss and a good play by Littlejohn after the catch.
Yeah, he makes a nice run after the catch, which, once again, I said is very vital to being a good receiver. You just can't catch the ball. You got to be able to do something with it. I can't believe Coach Beck, even though he has some of his backup defensive people in here now, can be very pleased that they're letting Ferris move down the field. This is the second time in a row.
You don't want to set a precedent where teams are moving the ball on you indiscriminately. Littlejohn goes up the middle. He picks up a couple this time.
Down by 57, Kevin Worthy.
Kevin Worthy the stop that time before Grand Valley.
Also went on the tackle, 95, Paul Weinman.
But mostly second-team people in there right now. I do see Robert Hunt is still on the field. Duffield can't be considered a second stringer. He's a co-captain. He's one of 4 linebackers who see a lot of action. But they've got a lot of people in there that don't play all the time, and they're getting an opportunity in this game with 4:05 remaining. Ferris has really not been in this one since halftime. Those 2 quick strikes really turning the tide. Grand Valley led 21-6 when Isaiah Lipsy caught a touchdown pass of 53 yards, and then Munkin had a 32-yard touchdown pass, and those 2 big plays really broke the back of the Ferris State Bulldogs.
Well, they fought hard the first half, and they fought hard the second half. I've been impressed with the poise and the way they've stuck to it, even though they got down by 30 points. They stayed with it, and their offense is still executing very well. And this is great practice and great building for the future for the Ferris State Bulldogs.
Let's take a look at this particular play, and we just get the tail end of one of 1,000 or so Rob Rubik touchdown catches in the National Football League. Lions against Dallas a couple of years ago.
Yeah, by the time I'm 50 years old, I'll had about 50 or 60 touchdown catches, but right now it was just a few.
I saw when you went down in the end zone, you weren't in any great hurry to get back up, Rob.
No, I fell down a lot, Tom. That's probably how come I'm up here with you now.
Well, one of your contemporaries is still playing football, Jeff Chadwick for the Seattle Ball Club now, still doing well. Had a touchdown catch last week.
Mr. Chadwick's doing very well for himself, and he just had another child. He has 2. He's got the big family going for himself, and he's very happy out in Seattle, and I wish him and Karen all the best.
That's a great portion of the country to live in out there in the Pacific Northwest, and they've got rabid football fans. Back to the action now, 2nd down and 5. Arnold wants to knock it in one more time if he can. Exactly 4 minutes remaining. Littlejohn up the middle, has a little bit of a seam, and fights down near the 10-yard line. He's actually to about the 12 or so, and will be very close to picking up the first down for Ferris. Delbert Littlejohn, the senior out of Rochester Adams. We mentioned that Adams connection for Ferris a little while ago. Doug Arnold is also from there. Scott Kerner is from Rochester. He's the backup quarterback. He went to Eisenhower High School, though, in Washington. And this combination of Adams and Littlejohn, they're probably the top performers to come out of Rochester Adams since the days of Madonna, who also went to school there. I bet you didn't know that one, Rob.
Yeah, but she never had outside speed, Tom.
She was a cheerleader, however, I'm told by some people who are familiar with Rochester Adams and that school's long and illustrious history. Penalty flag down on the play, and this one's going to put Ferris back a few yards. I think it's going to be a hold against the Bulldogs here.
I want to find out how many penalties we've had here today. We've got to be after some kind of record.
Well, they mentioned at the half there were only 12, but I think that there were a number of penalties that were offsetting that were probably not figured in that total. It seems as though we've seen the flag flying a lot today. And as we mentioned, Grand Valley has been a very penalized team this year, and they're getting away with it so far, but they are susceptible to being hurt by that and will be later on this year if they should make it to the Division II playoffs again this season. 2 wideouts left this time. Mel Curry and Sparky McEwen, the flanker, left. Doug Arnold is going to roll left. He's got time. He's got a man open in the end zone. McEwen tries to out-jump the defensive back. Can't do it. Excellent coverage back there. James Butler was the man back on the coverage, and Sparky tried to do a little out and up that time, Rob, but the defensive back Butler never really bought it.
Butler had nothing to do with it. He had inside leverage the whole time, and he did what all good defensive backs should do. He played the ball.
Well, in the minds of the Grand Valley students, this one is already in the hopper. And here we see that toss from Arnold. There's Butler back there. Really, Sparky had nowhere to go. The defensive back in perfect position to make the stop. Second down now. Ferris has to go inside the 5 for the first. Littlejohn, actually Melcurry on the draw now. Down to about the 15-yard line. He is wrapped up defensively there to make the stop for Grand Valley. Damon Dixon. Well, Grand Valley still behind North Dakota State and Mississippi College in the polls, and those teams have been winning rather regularly. Look at number 5, Indiana College of Pennsylvania. That's the team that knocked off Grand Valley in the first-round playoff game here last year. They've got another very fine team, and perhaps we could see a rematch of that battle from a year ago a little bit later on this season. Down to 2.5 left in this one, 42-12, Grand Valley leading. Doug Arnold and the Bulldogs trying to get in one more time. 3 wideouts. Grand Valley looks like they might be coming with some pressure here. Oh, and Arnold fell down on the center snap. Boy, that's discouraging to see that happen when he's got a play that he thinks is going to work for 6 maybe, but Arnold I think he left a little bit early, it looked like, Rob.
I think if I'm not sure we had a replay or not, but I think what happens a lot of times is a center or the guard will step on the quarterback's foot as he's trying to pull out from under center. And when that happens, he's trying to pull back. Let's see.
You're exactly right. The left guard got him.
Yeah, the left guard stepped on his toe, and for a quarterback who's just thinking about dropping back into the pocket on a 3rd and long, it's fatal.
And that's a play that only happens in passing situations because obviously when the offensive line is drive blocking, they're moving upfield right away. Their first foot movement is forward rather than backward into a retreat position. So now Keith Otterbein is taking time out here with 2:01 remaining. Ferris has one more chance here from the 20. They have to pick up 18 for the first, and obviously they'd like to get the score here. So this is pretty much a touchdown or nothing play for Ferris, although they could possibly pick up the first down. Arnold went over and talked with Otterbein. Sparky McEwen's going to come out on this play.
I would think Grand Valley would probably bring in a nickel back here because it is probably a passing situation.
Want to remind our viewers today here on TV 13 that coming up at 3:30, it's Michigan State against U of M at Ann Arbor. We will have that one in its entirety immediately following the game here today in Allendale. So it's a college football doubleheader for you. 7 hours of college football coverage today on TV 13. Right now, 4th and long for Ferris. 3 wideouts again. Doug Arnold, the quarterback. He's got Melcurry and Van Sickle to the left. And Pat Pettit is split wide to the right. Long count. Arnold's got some time to throw. Delivers, and he is hit just as he throws the ball, and it comes up well short. Breaking through to make the hit that time for Grand Valley was Wayne Brown. So he puts a knock on Doug Arnold, and Ferris State turns it over on downs. There is Zabon, who's waving to his friends in the crowd. Obviously, the young man knows that he's a little bit dinged up right now, but he doesn't appear to be in too much pain, Rob Rubik, and that's a good sign to see that he's smiling. A very popular guy, gutty little fella, and a player favorite.
Hey, it looks like he's always wanted to ride in an ambulance to me. He looks pretty happy right now, which is a good sign. It's one thing about fractures, bones will fuse back together. When you have a knee surgery or knee injury, it's tough because the ligaments never really quite get back the way they were.
Tazik running the option here on first down, picks up about 6 or 7 to about the 27-yard line. Zabon made the catch earlier in the 4th quarter and then was hit. And the preliminary report that we have is that it's a broken femur. Jack Hull has thrown for over 316 yards, or he has thrown for 316 yards today. That is a new career mark for him. He had over 200 in the first half. And I guess if we had to pick out stars, there's a few of them for Grand Valley, but his leadership and passing touch has really been key to the win today for Grand Valley, Rob.
Well, you say there's been a few stars, and that's the key to any successful team is every game you have 2, 3, 4, 5 people you pick from for the offensive player, defensive player of the game. And that's what you see from Grand Valley. They have all their skilled people, Lipsy, Lynch, Hull, Mountain, they're all doing a fine job for them, and that's why you win. And defensively, they're very sound up front. Their linebacking core is good, and their coverage was good.
That was Bruner on the carry for the first down, and now the Grand Valley students down below us bidding adieu, as it were, to their counterparts from Ferris, who I think didn't wait for the invitation to leave, Rob. They were in a hurry to get out of town before sundown. Not much doubt about the outcome of this one. 42-12, Grand Valley advances now to 7-0 in the season. This might be the last offensive play of the ball game for the Lakers. Tazik is going to give it off up the middle. And nothing too fancy right now for Tom Beck and company. They just want to get this one in, get home, and I imagine a few of them are going to be tuning into TV 13 today to see how Michigan and Michigan State comes out in Ann Arbor. 20 seconds left in this one. They may not even get this play off right now. Grand Valley will advance to 7-0. Ferris 3-3-1 on the season, with losses to Wayne State, Ashland on a last-minute field goal, and now today to Grand Valley. So here's the countdown. I know Tazik wants to get it off. Whether or not he does so is problematic, and it's also a moot point. The clock has expired. The game is over, and Grand Valley, a big win today over the Bulldogs, 42-12. We'll take a break and come back to wrap it up here from Allendale right after this.
Completing the picture of a modern metropolitan region, the Grand Rapids Campus Eberhard Center of Grand Valley State University, a state-of-the-art facility with comprehensive accredited university programs for people who live and work in the area. The faculty, programs, and facility are outstanding, and classes are scheduled for people who work full-time. The Grand Rapids campus of Grand Valley State University helps you bring out your best.
What makes Chemical Bank a great bank? Home equity loans without points, application fees, appraisal charges, or title insurance premiums. Let a Chemical Bank loan officer show you how to use the equity in your house to reduce your cost of borrowing.
We're here to help you at Chemical Bank. You're everything that a great bank should be. That's what I like about Chemical Bank. I like Chemical Bank helping me.
Amoco provides you with the finest lubricants for the smoothest operation of your equipment. Amoco offers over 400 specialized lubricants to help keep your heavy equipment and OTR rigs running stronger, longer. Amoco oils and greases also help minimize your lubricant costs without compromising quality. At Van Manen Oil, we have bulk storage and warehousing facilities, allowing us to provide the Amoco products you need when you need them throughout your market area. For the Amoco jobber serving your area, call Van Manen Oil today.
Well, we're being treated to a rendition of the school fight song right now by the Grand Valley football team, and thankfully these guys play football, Rob, a little bit better than they sing, but it's a joyous moment nonetheless here on homecoming Saturday. An impressive win for Grand Valley, and really rather typical of their season so far. A lot of mistakes, some mental errors, but just way too much talent and way too many bodies for the opposition.
Well, I think the word you've been using all day is bludgeon. Is that it? Bludgeon?
That's right.
And that's pretty much what they do. They're very methodical about the way they pick you apart. They hit you with a screen, they hit you with a draw, off tackle. Then all of a sudden they'll throw one down the middle for a post or a corner or something. Before you know it, you think you're holding, they get 3, 4, and all of a sudden they get 30. Then they come back at 3, 4, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of disheartening for a defense because you think you're playing them tough, and all of a sudden they hit you with a big play. And I think that's why they've had such great success. The play calling by Coach Beck is, I think, is tremendous.
Well, Tom Beck is standing down on the field right now with Bob Trimble. Obviously, he's very pleased about win number 7. We're going to have a chance to visit with him right now and also with several other players. Bob?
Yes, Coach Beck told me he is quite pleased. A little nerve-wracking at the half with the penalties and things like that, but it seemed like your talent overcame.
Well, I think our team played a tremendous game. It was a very emotional game against a traditional rival, and I was very proud of our guys, and I think they really kept their poise.
5-0 the last 5 homecomings. I don't know if maybe every game should be homecoming for you guys.
Well, it's an old cliche, but cliches are cliches because they stand the test of time. But we really look forward to them one game at a time. And the next game is the most important game on our schedule.
Tough to see your little running back receiver get hurt there, and he's I think they said he did fracture his femur above the right knee.
He is an outstanding athlete, an outstanding person, and that just is a doggone shame.
Offensively today, moved the ball very well. We've got to be pleased with the way Jack Hull ran it, especially that third quarter. A lot of offensive points in a hurry.
Well, Jack is a super young man. He's the kind of guy you'd want your daughter to marry. He's outstanding, and he maintains his poise, and he doesn't do anything flashy, but he gets the job done.
Time to take time and relax and enjoy this one, but Ashland next week, right? Doesn't get any easier.
Well, that's for sure. We're going to work real hard, and we're going to be ready for him.
Tom, thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Bob.
Good game. Okay, we'll bring in Jack Hull here, the quarterback, if we can. Jack had a couple of touchdown passes in that third quarter, and Jack, congratulations. Offense really awoke today, huh?
Yeah, we we brought everything out today, put it together well, and the name of the game is execution, and we were able to do that today.
Were you surprised at how wide open some of these guys were, especially after the half?
A little bit. Other teams have passed well against them, so we thought that we could have a good game as well, and everybody really was open today.
The offense played well, but I think you obviously, on your side, when you're on the sidelines watching, you have to give your defense some credit as well.
Yeah, defense played great all year, and they've been getting turnovers for us and shutting people out, all year and shutting them down and getting the ball for us, and they've played great. They're ranked in the nation in top 10 in efficiency and rush defense, and they do a great job.
Last thing, any special feeling for you, more so that it's Ferris and that it was homecoming and that's your big rival?
Oh, they're our big rival, and we don't ever want to. We want to win every game, but we really don't want to lose to them because they're so close and it's only an hour away. So it feels better when we beat them.
Okay, congratulations, Jack. Tom, throw it back up to you for a second. We'll have a couple more players for you in just a moment.
Okay, Bob is also down there right now with Isaiah Lipsy and Eric Lynch. That might be news to Tom Beck's daughter Kelly, who was engaged to get married right away when the coach said that Faoud Zeban or Jack Hall's the kind of guy that you'd want your daughter to marry. Kelly is engaged right now to be getting married sometime soon. So I guess we'll let her go through with that, and we'll let Bob Trimble go through because he's got a couple of important guys here. The touchdown machine, Eric Lynch, and Isaiah Lipsy, who made the play of the game, Bob. I thought that long touchdown reception in the third quarter, maybe we can talk to Ike a little bit about how that one developed.
Okay. Well, Isaiah, we'll talk to you first. We got a catch that was quite unbelievable today. Tell us about that touchdown play, man.
Really, it was just an arrow and up, and I saw the ball go up, and I just felt like I wanted it.
Well, the defensive back seemed like he was planted waiting for the ball. He thought he had the interception. All of a sudden, this long arm comes reaching through.
I never even saw him. I was just looking up at the ball. I didn't see it, and Jack put it right on the money. I just happened to come down with it.
You just kind of fell into the end zone a few yards, right?
Yeah, I was thinking, boy, if I caught that one, I better make it in now.
Well, congratulations. A good victory today. And also, Eric Lynch, as Tom mentioned, the touchdown machine. Another one today. I don't know how many games in a row. Is it 13 in a row that you've scored a touchdown?
I'm not sure the statistics, but yeah, it's a good thing, man. Our team works hard to get down there, and then 5 yards to go, and I'll take it in, hopefully.
Well, a lot of people in the stands, of course, will watch. You'll see the running back score the touchdown, but you got to give credit. That line was blocking for you today.
Definitely, and even the receivers getting us that close. The receivers get us that close. The linemen do their job the whole game, and they get hardly any publicity. And they, there's always a hole there when I'm down the end zone. I just, fall over the goal line.
That's right. And defense helping out as well. Give you guys a rest on the side.
Definitely. They do a great job. They're always smacking people around, and just that wears them out. And then they can't do anything in the third and fourth quarter.
Okay, Isaiah, one last question for you, and that's next week, as I mentioned, Ashland. You want to savor this victory, I'm sure, because it's homecoming, but it doesn't get any easier next week.
No, it doesn't. After tonight, matter of fact, our coaches will probably be working tonight on the Ashland game plan. But after tonight, this game's over, and hopefully we can just come back tomorrow, cut down on some of the penalties, and come right after Ashland. Because I think really offensively and defensively, I think we're just starting to gel. We had a little rough time at the beginning of the year, but our linemen, Mark Smith, Bill McGorry, Mike Sullivan, they're really coming through up front. Doug Strell stepped in and done a good job. So we're looking pretty nice right now. We're looking good going into the Ashland game.
Well, both the team is 7-0, 6-0 in the conference, Tom. As they said, things are looking real good.
Well, things are certainly looking good right now, Bob, for Grand Valley, 7-0 on the season. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's ahead for the Lakers, and we'll be back with a recap of today's action from Allendale right after this.
Most good things don't come easy, but here's a great one that does. Maximum protection. Think about it. Then don't stop short of the peak.
Don't stop short of the peak. No, don't stop short of the peak. What could be to the shirt that's Fisher? What could be to the shirt that knows? What could be to the shirt that knows from Fisher? There's nothing to the shirt I know.
Can you name any anything delisher than Fisher nuts. They're fresh picked, fresh packed, fresh roasted, fresh toasted. No wonder they taste fresh opened.
What could be delisher than Fisher? There's nothing delisher, I know.
Your Dodge dealer is now showing his most exciting new lineup ever. Featuring the redesigned Dodge Caravan.
I like the new shape.
The new Shadow America, the lowest priced American car.
Price is very important.
The new Dakota V8, available with more power for less money than a Ranger 4-liter V6.
I could tow a 24-foot boat with this.
See your Western Michigan Dodge dealer today. This special TV13 sports presentation has been brought to you by Van Manen Oil, Peak Antifreeze, Grand Valley State University, Fisher Nuts. What could be delisher than Fisher? Your West Michigan Dodge dealers. And by Chemical Bank.
(42-6) our final score. I should say 42-12, pardon me, in favor of Grand Valley State Lakers. A wonderful victory for the Lakers here at home. As I mentioned, this is their 5th straight victory in homecoming, and their overall season or career victory mark against the Ferris State Bulldogs moves to 12 wins and 8 defeats. And my broadcast partners are working their way towards me now, Rob Rubik and Tom Cleary, for some final comments. We'll mention real quickly that next week Ashland will be visiting Grand Valley State, and then also Butler will be visiting Ferris State, both those games at 1:30 next Saturday afternoon. And here they come. Tom, first of all, from the sidelines here, a lot of hard hitting, and there were some mistakes early on, especially on Grand Valley's part, but they seem to work things out.
Well, I think Grand Valley obviously showed the power that they have. They're really strong up front, and I think Rob would concur with me that when you see a team outscoring the opposition every week by 25, 30 points, it indicates real domination, Rob, when you say on the line of scrimmage on both sides.
Yeah, I think Grand Valley's big offensive line just starts to wear on the teams they're playing. I don't think there's too many other teams in the Great Lakes or the Midwest Conference that are going to average about 260 across the front. And they just kind of play pound at you, then they, throw in a deep pass or a counter or a screen. And they're really tough to defend because they can control the ball if they want, or they can hit you quick.
They made a lot of improvement, it seemed like, as the game went on. We mentioned that they went with a no-huddle offense to begin with, and it seemed like Grand Valley didn't really get into sync until they went back to the huddled offense.
Well, Grand Valley just has so many threats offensively. They've got about 4 or 5 different guys they can distribute the ball to in the passing game. They've got 3 or 4 good running backs, and I thought it was fairly typical of the Grand Valley season so far. Some mistakes, but just so much talent, so many people that the final outcome was really never in doubt.
Rob, a lot of memories for you, I'm sure, to be on this field. Tough watching from up there?
Yeah, it was a little cool. I wish I was in the sun down here with you, Bob. But yeah, it's kind of tough. But then again, if your body felt like mine, you'd kind of appreciate sitting down watching instead of out there playing. I'm very proud of Grand Valley. And to be from Grand Valley, I think Coach Beck's done a great job. But I think if they're going to continue to have great success this season and to go on to national prominence, they're going to have to cut down on their penalties. You can't make that type of mistakes throughout a game when you start playing teams of Ashland's caliber and so forth and expect to win.
Rob, thanks very much for being our color commentator this afternoon. Tom Cleary, be on at 6 and 11 tonight, I guess, right? And we just want to say thank you for watching. The final score once again was Grand Valley 42, Ferris State 12. That's it from Allendale. Good afternoon.
West